If you've ever barely clung to consciousness as you're trying to wait out one of the most exciting NBA Finals games I've ever seen, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook. We might be running on fumes today because it was a late night, but it was an exciting one, and as the kids say, worth. Great to have all of you back. It is the day before the SpaceX IPO. It is the start of the World Cup. What is the market going to do? Oracle got pounded. PPI today. We've got some news here today. Full show coming ahead here for you. Benzinga's PreMarket Playbook, the Thursday edition for June 11th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful rest of your Thursday. I know you Knick fans are going crazy right now and totally get it. Let's try and stay calm here today and make some money in this penultimate day of the week and the start of the World Cup. By the way, just on the World Cup note, I would not be shocked if starting today over while the World Cup is going on, especially while there are games during the day, I would not be surprised if we actually saw some volume kind of leave the market. So the first game today, I believe, starts at 2 Eastern. It's either 2 or 3 Eastern. So the afternoon might be a little light. Just a heads up there. Nonetheless, great to see a whole bunch of returning faces here today. Peter is first here today. Peter from Colorado. Good morning, Peter. Welcome back. It is great to see you. Derek, good morning. It's always great to see you. Welcome back. Crispy Biscuit. Good morning, y'all. Good morning to you as well. Billy, our human chat scanner, is off and popping here. EDHL, probably one of the bigger movers here today. I'm sure we're going to break that down. Good morning, Billy. Welcome back. Free Giddy tomorrow. Good morning. Welcome back. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Whis, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, good morning, and good morning to the Benzie gang. Good morning, Zach. Welcome back. You guys are, oh my gosh, you guys shorted EDHL? I'll have to talk about that in a little bit here. Producer, good morning. Whis says, I went to bed because I thought, no way. Bro. Largest comeback in NBA playoff history. Just unbelievable. Zach wants to know, are space stocks going to be up or down? I actually saw Velo popping a little bit here today. It will be interesting to see what the SpaceX halo effect is today. Do we still have people raising cash for this IPO and the others by selling some of the big winners, of which space is a part of? Or do we actually see this halo effect continue here into tomorrow? I actually think that's a really good call, Zach. We'll keep an eye on those stocks here today. Brian, good morning. Welcome back. Brian literally can't even talk. All he's doing is screaming because the Knicks, baby, the Knicks. And speaking of writing a better script, if someone said, Ryan, we have a scripted NBA game, read this. What do you think? I would have been like, no, dude, this is not believable. No one would believe this. And lo and behold, that's what we got yesterday. Just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. There are going to be a lot of kids named Ogu Gua, Anunoby, right? Because he balled yesterday. I got you. It took me a sec there. Edward, good morning. Edward is a Celtics fan. It must be rough, Ed. Good morning, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Kelly, good morning. Reaching financial freedom. Good morning. Janie, good morning. It's good to see you again. The Robot Killer, good morning. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. Kelly, good morning. Welcome back. Y'all talking about a meetup in the southern states? Y'all better include me. I'll come down there and meet you folks. That'd be fun. We got to go golfing if we do that. I don't know what to tell you. Positive Trader, good morning. Welcome back. G-Cord, good morning. Welcome back. Linda, good morning. Welcome back. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Welcome back. Seahorse Trading, good morning from West Suburban Naperville. Boy, that's only a scoot away. If I have more time this weekend, maybe we should do something. Reggie, good morning. Welcome back. Philip Peger, thought you'd said good morning AI. Oh, because Reggie said good morning all, and it looks like good morning AI. That's actually kind of funny. But we talk about AI here, so that would actually make sense. It is what it is. Good morning, Phil. It's great to have you here. Daniel says, good morning. I like the early opening. Awesome, Daniel. Do you mean the intro there? We're happy to have you. Glad you're liking it. Who else am I missing here? Chuck, good morning. 8 a.m. appointment. We'll watch later. Chuck will be around all day, and we'll also be on happy hour today, so I hope your appointment goes well. We'll keep the seat warm for you. Brandy, good morning. Brandy, are you a basketball fan? Were you watching that game last night? And are you a World Cup fan? Just out of curiosity. Tom, good morning. Welcome back. Go New York, go. Yeah, a lot of excitement here today. Lion, good morning. Welcome back. Tawanda, good morning. Cameron, good morning. Bernhard, good morning. Yassine, good morning. Man, Yassine, how about those storms last night? Good for the roofing business, right? Apparently, I lost power while I was asleep, but it was back on when I woke up. Thank gosh. Just passing through, good morning. Forever to Bitcoin, good morning. Durkus, good morning. Acorns, good morning. Bavesh, good morning. Robot to Trade, good morning. Tyler, how excited are you, Tyler? His caps key is locked on, by the way. Good morning. Welcome back. Cam, good morning. Welcome back. Liam, it's great to see you. Welcome back. Lorena, good morning. Fatula, good morning. From Pakistan. Wow, we got someone from Pakistan here. Let's go. Edmund, good morning. Welcome back. HP Darkside Hemi, good morning. Who am I missing here? Boy, we got everyone. Francis, good morning. Richard Judge, good morning. Judge, how are you doing, dude? How are you doing? Carlos, good morning. Brandy says, love soccer. Played in college. What position did you play? That's awesome. Soccer, one of those sports I played when I was real young, but I was never any good at it. But that's awesome. Have fun. Who do you have winning the World Cup? We got to get some bets in today. Captain Cloudy, good morning. Edward, good morning. And let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, green arrows across the board here today, perhaps on the back of that exciting Knicks win. We'll see. S&P futures up 0.75%, 0.75%. Dow futures up 0.78%, and the NASDAQ leading the way higher at plus 1.23%. Now let's take a look at some cues from last session, as well as some stocks that we have in focus here for you today. Get you all set for the trading day. Sectors that gained and lost on Wednesday saw most S&P 500 industries, close on a negative note, with industrials, materials, and information technology stocks recording the biggest losses. However, consumer staples and energy stocks bucked the overall market trend and closed the session higher. U.S. stock futures rose on Thursday as the NASDAQ 100, S&P 500, and Dow Jones indices advanced following Wednesday's lower close. Investors are closely watching the upcoming May PPI release, along with the weekly jobless claims before the opening bell. Middle East tensions have escalated significantly as the U.S. and Iran traded direct military strikes following warnings from President Trump that Tehran would, quote, pay the price, end quote, for stalled peace talks. Renewed hostilities have severely disrupted regional stability, prompting neighboring countries like Kuwait to temporarily close their airspace amid the incoming Iranian attacks. That airspace has since been reopened. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.53%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.12%. The CME Group's Fed Watch Tool projections show that the markets are pricing in a 98.3% likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves the current interest rates unchanged during the June meeting. And despite all of the conflict in the Middle East, oil is actually lower by 1% here ahead of the open. Now, we've got several stocks in focus here for you today, and the first one should be no surprise to anybody. That is indeed going to be Oracle, which reported earnings last night. Oracle, which is ticker ORCL, dropped by 8.87% in the pre-market on Thursday, despite reporting better than expected results for the fourth quarter, as its remaining performance obligations, or RPOs, rose, and the CFO predicted lower gross margins for the fiscal year of 2027. Oracle's adjusted EPS of $2.11 beat the $1.96 estimate, and sales of $19.184 billion beat the $19.095 billion estimate. Oracle also sees fiscal year 2027 adjusted EPS of $8.05 versus the $8.01 estimate, and affirms full year 2027 sales guidance of $90 billion versus the estimate of $88.96 billion. So they beat, and the numbers were good, but that same effect, was it good enough? Doesn't appear to be. The next stock on our list is going to be Oxford Industries. The ticker on this one is OXM, and it fell 6.61% as it reported mixed results for the first quarter. The company raised its fiscal year 2026 earnings guidance while narrowing its sales outlook. The next stock on our list is going to be CoreWeave, and it was 1.35% higher as it announced on Wednesday its intention to offer $3.5 billion in aggregate principal amount of senior notes due in 2032 in dollar and euro denominations. A little bit more on CoreWeave later. The next stock on our list is going to be Visa, and it was up 0.37% as it announced a partnership with OpenAI for AI agent payments. The final stock on our list is going to be Adobe, ticker ADBE, and it was up 0.39% as Wall Street expects it to post quarterly earnings of $5.82 per share on revenue of $6.46 billion after the closing bell today. All right, folks, let's take a look at the SPY chart and what's going to happen today. Man, your guess is as good as mine. Hopefully, it's as exciting as the game last night. Now, when we left off yesterday, we talked about the SPY perhaps rolling over and testing its 50-day moving average. And despite the green arrows that we have here today, I don't fully want to write that scenario out. I think we could very easily move down. In fact, I think we could very easily move down today. Right in the opener there, tensions are escalating here. It is a bit odd to me that with the missiles being exchanged and the rhetoric being exchanged, that oil's actually down 1%. That's definitely something to keep an eye on. But nonetheless, we all know at this point that anything could happen here today. One comment could send this thing spiraling. We're really not that far from the 50-day moving average. So I suspect if we have any downside pressure or if we really kind of lose any strength that we have built up today, the 50-day makes a lot of sense. And better still, if we can actually overshoot the 50-day to the downside, recapture, close above, that actually might be a pretty good setup for a potential swing long on that. Now, as far as the upside here today, I think that even if we move above yesterday's candle, I still think that the 20-day is going to be the key level here today. The high from yesterday is going to be 738.38. So if you want to mark that down, Gio, you'll have to tell me if that's a key level that you see here. I guess we'll watch as it trades here today. But ultimately, if we do keep pushing up, a recapture of the 744 level, it's at 744.20, but that's going to change by the time we get up there. If we're able to recapture that level, then maybe we can set our sights on the all-time high and resume the kind of upward move that we have. Otherwise, I think I'd rather the market come in and actually print one of these support levels as opposed to just making traders guess. One more word of note here. We talked about this yesterday. I don't know why it didn't save. If I extend the breakout trend line that also marked the resistance area as we tried to break out, you can see that that actually might be a pretty decent spot to catch the SPY if we do in fact break the 50. So these are going to be some of the key levels that I'm looking for here this morning. And we'll see if we get an opportunity to trade this here today. Yesterday was weird, man. We had a great opportunity. The indicator worked perfectly in the morning, but once the thing rolled over, there was no more opportunity. It just kept trading to the downside. So we'll see how we do here today. Now, let's take a look at some insights from analysts here. BlackRock maintains an overweight stance on U.S. equities, supported by, quote, contained damage to global growth from the Middle East conflict, strong earnings expectations, particularly in tech, end quote. A primary driver of this optimism is the artificial intelligence boom, which BlackRock believes is, quote, lifting U.S. corporate earnings, underpinning our U.S. equity overweight, end quote. The firm specifically favors AI beneficiaries such as infrastructure and semiconductor equipment. Conversely, BlackRock expects persistent macro challenges for the broader economy. It is closely monitoring the transition to new Federal Reserve leadership, noting that they are, quote, closely watching how the new Federal Reserve Chair Kevin Warsh will address this mix of strong job growth, an uptick in job vacancies, and mounting wage pressure, end quote. Furthermore, sticky price pressures remain a structural concern, with BlackRock warning that, quote, macro anchors investors have relied upon, like stable inflation expectations, are lost, end quote. Due to this persistent inflation and rising rates, they are underweight long U.S. Treasuries, advising investors to build portfolios around exposures rather than traditional asset class labels. So BlackRock still overweight U.S. equities, not so much interested in treasuries. We'll see how that changes here. Now, big story here, or I guess the biggest story of the day, we're going to recap Oracle's earnings. We'll actually do a quick peek at Oracle just to see where this is during the pre-market. Let me go back to Pro here real quick. So let's start inside. So earnings report, we actually did trade up a little bit, but we rolled back over. Now, the lowdown here is about 177. The pre-market range, we can kind of watch this range here. I think if you're going to look for a trade, 180 as the downside and probably 189 as the upside might be that trigger for a potential long or short, depending on how Oracle performs today. But just kind of looking at the inside or looking intraday here at this chart, sure looks like this wants to test a level lower. If we move back to the daily here, you can see that we were actually beneath the 200 prior to this report. Now, with the weakness here in the pre-market down 9.5%, we're actually below the 50-day moving average. The 50-day is basically sitting on the 500-day. So this 184 to 185 level, absolutely going to be a key level today. And if we can close above that, then perhaps we can start looking at this chart like it may bounce after that. So just kind of looking at Oracle, this is what I see here in the charts. Let's actually take a look at the report itself, though. Oracle stock fell as investors reacted to aggressive infrastructure spending plans after the company reported its fourth quarter results and gave its capital outlay plans. The tech giant shares dipped following the disclosure that fiscal year 2027 net capital expenditures are projected to climb around $70 billion to fuel the massive AI demand. Oracle reported revenue of around $19.18 billion, which did beat the estimates of approximately $19.1 billion, according to Benzinga Pro. Revenue rose 21% year over year, driven by robust performance across cloud infrastructure and cloud applications. Adjusted operating income grew 22% year over year to $8.6 billion, benefiting from strong top-line growth and operational leverage. Adjusted earnings grew 24% year over year to $2.11 per share, and that beat the estimates of $1.96 per share. Operating cash flow reached $32 billion, while representing a 54% year over year growth, while the company invested heavily in expansion with $48 billion in net capital expenditures in the year. Now, here's the important part. Remaining performance obligations, or RPO, which you're going to hear about, surged to a record $638 billion. And that is up a whopping 363% year over year in the quarter. Now, management noted that about 12% of RPO is expected to convert into revenue within the next 12 months. That's key. 12% of that $638 billion is expected to convert into revenue in the next 12 months, with an additional 34% expected over the following 13 to 36 months. That's 46% of that $638 billion over the next 36 months. Is that a buy? You'll have to let me know. I like that. During the quarter, Oracle signed $67 billion in AI infrastructure contracts, bringing total bring your own hardware and prepared infrastructure agreements to approximately $75 billion. At the company's conference call, CFO Hilary Maxson said, quote, "We'll continue those investments in our fiscal year 2027 with an expected net cash outlay for capital expenditures of around $70 billion. This includes customer prepayments and timing impacts expected at around $20 to $25 billion. So our reported CapEx will be higher by this amount. Importantly, these investments are being driven by committed customer demand reflected in our record RPO, giving us confidence in our long-term outlook, as well as strong returns on the capital we're deploying." So just summarize there, she's saying, yeah, look, we're going to spend more, but we're spending more because the demand is there, and we're extremely confident that we're not only going to hit our long-term outlook, but we're not going to overspend. That's how I read between the lines there. OCI revenue nearly doubled, rising 93% year over year as demand for AI computing capacity and database services continued to accelerate. Cloud application revenue reached $4.1 billion, which was up 10%, while SaaS deferred revenue increased 16% from the prior year. The company's cloud database business expanded 29%, with multi-cloud revenue jumping 404% and multi-cloud bookings climbing 325% year over year. Over the past 12 months, Oracle has deployed more than 1,000 AI agents across its application portfolio and has begun introducing AI token-based and outcome-based pricing models. For the first quarter, Oracle forecasts adjusted EPS of 172 to 176, that is above the 168 consensus, and revenue of 18.96 to 19.26 billion, and that's compared with expectations of approximately 19.06 billion, so more in line. Total cloud revenue is expected to grow between 57 and 63% in the quarter. Oracle affirmed its fiscal 2027 revenue outlook of $90 billion versus estimates of approximately $88.9 billion and adjusted EPS of 805 versus estimates of 801. Meanwhile, the company expects gross margins to decline in fiscal 2027 as data center expansion and infrastructure buildouts ramp up. Oracle noted that it expects its new AI patent care management system to push the growth rate of the overall Oracle Health business to double digits in fiscal 2027. Also, the company announced it expects to raise approximately $40 billion through a combination of debt and equity financing, including its previously announced $20 billion at-the-market equity issuance. In a separate release today, Oracle disclosed a new partnership with OpenAI. Enterprises will soon be able to apply eligible Oracle Universal credits to access OpenAI's frontier models and codecs through OCI, aiming to keep AI deployments inside familiar procurement and governance workflows. The company said availability begins, quote, in the coming weeks, end quote, with customers directed to Oracle sales for timing and eligibility. So I know the stock is selling off, but the big question that I have here is it a buy the dip? Is it a buy the dip, or is it maybe kind of wait out some of the nervousness here and then see, and then maybe buy the dip? Looking here at the S&P futures, it looks like we're trading down here. Looks like we had a little bit of a spike down. Did we get the PPI already? I don't think so. That's due out in 6 more minutes here, right? Yeah, I don't see anything. It looks like maybe someone got the information early. Maybe someone got the information early. We'll see. Okay. Scroll that across the bottom if you can when it comes out. I will keep my eye on the clock and report it. We do have 6 minutes, though. So let's go ahead and hit this NVIDIA story here real quick. Analyst calls NVIDIA undervalued and sees major upside. Okay, real quick. Big B saying Oracle to 155. Big B is saying, I was asking about, is this a buy the dip? Big B's, you're taking a cautious approach here, saying that there are gaps below on the chart, probably wait out 155. Okay, that's great. That's great. I don't see any news hitting the wire, guys. I'm still, never mind. Here we go again. Trump says there will be hitting Iran very hard tonight. Okay, so that is what the market is trading down on. I will mention that the market bounced after trading down on a similar post yesterday, but that's what it is. We'll get the PPI here in a sec. Let me roll through this NVIDIA story here real quick. NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, the stock edged higher in Thursday's pre-market trading as improving risk appetite lifted technology stocks, with NASDAQ futures rising 1.35% at the high and S&P futures gaining 0.83%. The chipmaker remains a focal point of the artificial intelligence investment theme as analysts and market commentators increasingly point to sovereign AI initiatives, persistent supply constraints, and robust infrastructure spending as key drivers of its next phase of growth. CNBC's Jim Cramer on Monday said that NVIDIA's growing business with sovereign nations could reduce investor concerns about its dependence on a small group of hyperscale customers. Do you folks agree with that? He said governments are buying NVIDIA chips for domestic AI infrastructure projects, and are not focused on quick returns, unlike some commercial buyers. Kramer said sovereign AI already accounts for about 14% of NVIDIA's business and could become more important as projects move forward. He said demand from countries that include Singapore, India, Japan, Germany, Taiwan, Israel, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia can help lessen NVIDIA's reliance on major cloud providers. Wedbush Securities semiconductor and hardware analyst Matt Bryson told CNBC on Wednesday that NVIDIA remains undervalued because it's still the biggest beneficiary of AI demand. Quote, at some point, we're going to wake up and it'll feel like we saw with Micron a few months back, where they gave a great quarter and it just didn't react. And then all of a sudden, wake up a few weeks later and it's up 50%, end quote. How many of you think NVIDIA is going to go up 50%? He said the broader AI investment cycle remains strong and continues to support demand for companies tied to AI infrastructure. Bryson said NVIDIA's products remain supply constrained, and the company has built strong supply chain positioning for 2026, 2027, and 2028. He also said server vendors such as Supermicro Computers, or ticker SMCI, are largely shipping NVIDIA-based products, which reinforce NVIDIA's central role in the AI hardware ecosystem. KeyBank Capital Markets analyst John Vinn said NVIDIA remains his favorite AI chip stock and called it, quote, hands down, end quote, the best-in-class player in the sector. He said no major merchant silicon rival is likely to gain meaningful traction against NVIDIA soon, and he likes the stock's risk-reward at current levels. AMD might like a word, but nonetheless, Wedbush here telling you that it looks great and it's got more room to go. You folks will have to let me know. BH here saying NVIDIA, is that Bharat? Nice to see you back if that's Bharat. NVIDIA over 300 by December. Over 300 by December. That would make for a great trade. Barb says, hand in the air. NVIDIA is going up. Okay, this is what makes a market. This is what makes the market. I absolutely love it. All right, we're 1 minute till the PPI. Oh, it's Bob. That's right. I'm sorry. The YouTube thing screws up me remembering all your folks' handles and names. Please believe me, it's not personal. It's hard to remember all of that here. Okay. So we're still waiting out this data print. I don't necessarily want to start a new story here and then have to break it off right away. I guess I'll preview it and then we'll take a look at the data when it comes out. S&P futures here, just a quick check. They did hold the VWAP on that pullback from the Trump post. They're still higher by 0.4 as we await this number. Actually, if I look at the SPY on the 1 minute, it looks like it's trying to bounce here, but all of that will be made moot depending on what happens with the actual print itself. So as we wait that out here, I'm just going to preview the next article. Gary Black predicts that Tesla selling ahead of SpaceX IPO. Ross Gerber says investors are treating it like free money. What is this about? We'll go ahead and check that out here. All right, looks like we are getting the PPI now. Let's go ahead and go back to Pro and see what that number is. Also, by the way, EDHL, for those of you that are trading here in the pre-market, EDHL just absolutely popping, taking the next leg up here to 15.5. Okay, let's take a look at the print here. Initial jobless claims, 229K versus the 220K estimate. Continuing jobless claims, 1795 versus 1780. U.S. core PPI month over month for May came in a tenth light, 0.4 versus the 0.5 estimate. The previous read was 0.7. So that trend is continuing. USA PPI month over month for May. This number's hot, 1.1% versus the 0.7 estimate. And the USA PPI year over year for May also coming in 0.1 hot, 6.5% versus 6.4%. So PPI was definitely a little bit warmer than the CPI. We are seeing the market pull a little bit here. However, because it is pulling right after the Trump post or threat or whatever you're going to call it, the S&P futures have held VWAP. So it's possible, and we're holding right here. 73.07 is what the futures are at. The SPY's at 728.5 or 728.75. So it looks like we're trying to hold VWAP here. We'll let this shake out. We'll see what kind of action we get for the open here. But that's what the data print is. And there was one more here. U.S. core PPI month over month for May revises the prior from 1% to 0.7. So that actually came in a little bit here. S&P futures look to be retesting the VWAP. We'll see if that ends up breaking or if it holds here and gives us a possible bounce setup. Okay. Okay, there we go. That data print out of the way. Let me go back to the story here. We'll keep crushing news. I do have a street tweet for you here today, and I suspect that we are going to have plenty of time for ticker time, and we're going to be able to break down these movers as well. Let me keep rolling with this. So the Gary Black predicting Tesla selling, and Ross Gerber says investors are treating this like free money. What on earth is going on here? The upcoming SpaceX IPO, which is scheduled to kick off on Friday, June 12th, tomorrow, could result in Tesla, ticker TSLA, investors exiting their positions in the EV giant. And that is according to Gary Black of the Future Fund, LLC. In a post on X on Wednesday, Black outlined that several retail investors participating in the SpaceX IPO, quote, will lighten up their Tesla positions to fund their SPCX shares or their SpaceX shares, end quote. He added that lead underwriters for the IPO, Goldman Sachs, ticker GS, and Morgan Stanley, ticker MS, will, quote, engineer a day one pop for SpaceX IPO investors, citing huge potential paydays, end quote, from the upcoming IPOs of artificial intelligence companies Anthropic and OpenAI. However, the investor said that the stock was still richly priced and that he would avoid participating in the IPO until the stock comes, quote, back to earth post-IPO, end quote. I think there are a lot of folks in our community that are waiting for that as well. Investor Ross Gerber, co-founder of Gerber Kawasaki, also weighed in on the Friday IPO, saying, quote, people hitting me up for SpaceX stock like it's some sort of free money, end quote. Investor said in a post on X on Wednesday, illustrating the considerable buzz SpaceX has generated. At last check yesterday, and this was yesterday night before the Knicks game, so who the hell knows what's happened since then, I was seeing that SpaceX was at least 4x oversubscribed going into this IPO. Don't forget Figma, which did nothing but trade down from the IPO. That was oversubscribed 40 times, 40 to be clear. The IPO has sparked bullish sentiments as well as skepticism. Senator Elizabeth Warren called for delaying the IPO, warning of misleading or inaccurate accounting of valuation that the IPO could expose investors to improper governance structures. Good luck. NYU Stern professor Aswath Damodaran, widely known as the Dean of Valuation, said that he would avoid participating in the IPO, citing concerns with SpaceX's valuation as well as the $28.5 trillion market opportunity touted by the company in its prospectus. Remember, Tim Melvin yesterday was kind of saying the same thing. We actually had someone in the chat busting him for it. Looks like the Dean of Valuation has the exact same opinion as Tim Melvin. How about that? Top pension officials from New York and California have also criticized SpaceX's IPO, accusing Musk of creating a management-favorable structure, as the dual-class share structure would make Musk's Class B shares worth 10 regular shares. On the other hand, Deepwater Asset Management's Gene Munster called the IPO an exciting event for the tech industry, sharing that SpaceX could emerge as a rival for Alphabet, ticker GOOG and GOOGL. Investor Ron Barron also expressed bullish sentiment for the IPO, predicting that the Elon Musk-led company could go on to become worth $30 trillion in the future. Well, Goldman Sachs reportedly shared with prospective investors that the company's total revenue could reach over $474 billion by 2030. So I am excited for this. I'm not trying to get any shares on the IPO. There are some, restrictions and mechanisms where they don't want you to sell it right away in case it pops. I'd rather just kind of watch it on IPO day. My gut feeling tells me that we do have a substantial pop above the IPO price. I expect IPO day to be volatile, and I would not be shocked if at some point SpaceX actually trades lower temporarily. I kind of want to see what the post-IPO volatility is for this one. I think it should actually make for great trading, though. Okay, next story here. Alex Karp, Palantir CEO, warns that AI could supercharge wealth inequality. I don't really think that this surprises many people. I think this is going to be another cursory tale of how adopting to AI is the way to stay competitive and improve your future. Palantir Technologies, ticker PLTR, gained by over 0.5% during Thursday's pre-market session as risk appetite improves alongside firmer index futures, keeping buyers engaged even after the stock's recent pullback. NASDAQ futures are up 1.22%, while the S&P futures have gained 0.81%. That's obviously come in a little bit now. With no single headline driving the tape at the time of this writing, the early move looks more like a macro bid tied to stronger futures, while traders keep an eye on whether Palantir can stabilize near recent lows after April's breakdown. Meanwhile, CEO Alex Karp said AI will force businesses, workers, and governments to adapt, while arguing that many frontier AI labs do not understand the demands of enterprise deployment. Karp said AI is creating a massive period of dislocation and warned that leaders should not ignore the social and economic pressures it may create. He said the issue is not simply mass job loss, but the need to retain, retool, and change how people work. Karp warned that artificial intelligence could accelerate wealth concentration and fuel political unrest unless policymakers and businesses address the technology's social consequences. Quote, "We're going to have massive resources, but they're going to go disproportionately to the people who are already wealthy. That is a political problem," end quote. And again, that came from Karp. Karp said discussions around AI often underestimate the scale of disruption the technology could bring. He argued that businesses, governments, and society must openly acknowledge challenges tied to workforce displacement and economic inequality rather than assume rising prosperity will solve those issues. Quote, "The American people are really wondering what's going to happen to them. The answers aren't all good or bad," end quote. He said the U.S. has an advantage because of its ability to adapt and rebuild, but that the country needs a stronger common purpose as AI reshapes the labor market and stirs fears among workers. Karp told CNBC on Wednesday that businesses are unhappy with frontier AI labs because they often do not understand enterprise problems, technical complexity, or the security requirements. He said large companies need AI systems to work inside real-world operation, not just models that solve simple or self-contained tasks. Karp said Palantir works with major governments and enterprises where software must perform reliably in high-stakes settings. He said the value of AI will come from validation, deployment, and integration into complex systems, especially over the next several years. Karp said large language models remain important, but he argued that enterprise deployment is where much of the value sits. He told CNBC that most of the things Anthropic talks about in public are running on Palantir, framing the company as an important layer for the applying AI within real-world organizations. Karp said frontier AI companies may remain important, but the businesses still need platforms to understand enterprise workflows, security needs, and operational constraints. So this is a long-winded way of saying what we've been saying this entire time, that AI has to have these huge breakthroughs in order for this to really kind of lift the tide for everyone. Otherwise, the K-shaped economy is going to keep going, and AI is going to be responsible for driving some of that inequality. Okay. Palantir, though, has been a monster, and I think the note there about a lot of Anthropic stuff running on the Palantir platform, that's also quite interesting. All right, how are we doing on time here? 8:40. Oh, we're in good shape. I got another story here for you. I guess you could say this one's, well, I'll let you folks be the judge of this. Martin Scarelli predicts that Meta could buy Anthropic in a down exit as Claude maker eyes its IPO here. Wonder if he's serious on this. Former hedge fund manager Martin Shkreli predicted on Thursday that Meta, ticker META, will absorb the Claude maker Anthropic in a down exit. The forecast arrives as intense public backlash, regulatory hurdles, and looming IPO tests the artificial intelligence startup's trillion-dollar ambitions. Sharing on X, Shkreli floated that Anthropic's current trajectory could force an unfavorable Meta acquisition, though he caveated the statement as a low conviction prediction. The commentary underscores mounting skepticism regarding Anthropic's ability to sustain its independence in a cutthroat AI arms race. Shkreli's prediction amplified a warning from a tech commentator on X who told Anthropic employees that leadership's recent policy decisions are, quote, titanic F-ups that pose serious risks to both your technical pole position and your bags, end quote. Users are increasingly frustrated over the suspected stealth nerfing of Claude's capabilities and a controversial update extending data retention to 5 years for model training. The operational strain has grown complex. The Pentagon recently slapped Anthropic with a supply chain risk designation, temporarily blocking new Defense Department contracts. Additionally, leadership recently called for an industry-wide development pause, sparking debate over whether their strict safety boundaries are actively dampening their competitive edge. Paradoxically, this turbulence collides with Anthropic's monumental push to go public. On June 1st, the company filed a confidential draft S-1 with the SEC, fresh off a $65 billion Series H round that valued the startup at a staggering $965 billion. While Anthropic boasts an explosive $47 billion annualized revenue run rate and massive infrastructure deals with the likes of Amazon and Alphabet, its impending market debut faces heavy headwinds. The company will have to publicly justify its previously shielded margins and cost structures. Furthermore, it is stepping into an overwhelmingly crowded 2026 IPO window, forced to compete directly for institutional capital against massive upcoming listings from OpenAI and SpaceX. If public investors balk at the nearly $1 trillion price tag, Shkreli's discount acquisition scenario could quickly become a reality. I'll say this: I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's interesting, the thesis here, but ultimately, I don't think this is how it plays out at all. I really don't think it plays out like this at all. So we'll see. We'll see, though. More excitement there. Okay. Oh, man, we are doing so good on time. I am so excited. I feel like the Knicks coming back right now. Okay. Now, last story here is going to be on CoreWeave. We talked a little bit about it in the open as it was one of the stocks to watch. And interestingly enough, I actually got a, you know what, producer, maybe you can load this up as an asset and we can share this on screen. I'm sure Anne-Marie would have shared this if she was on live, so perhaps you can do this for me. Let me Slack this image to you. At the end of this, I'm going to give you Anne-Marie's thought on CoreWeave for the purpose of trading. And then, producer, if you can share that chart, that would be absolutely fantastic. Okay, let's go with the CoreWeave story here, though. CoreWeave, ticker CRWV, the stock rose in Thursday's pre-market trading after the artificial intelligence cloud infrastructure provider announced plans to raise $3.5 billion through a senior notes offering. The move comes as AI infrastructure stocks recover alongside a broader rebound in the technology sector following recent selling pressure that weighed on high growth names. On Thursday, CoreWeave said it intends to offer 3.5 billion USD, or the euro equivalent, and euro-denominated senior notes due in 2032 in a private placement subject to market conditions. Certain wholly owned subsidiaries will guarantee the notes on a senior unsecured basis. The company said it expects to use the net proceeds for general corporate purposes, including the repayment of existing debt, as well as fees and expenses related to the offering. So, producer, I don't know if you're there. Do you have that chart real quick? Yes, perfect. So Anne-Marie shared this chart with me. And her view is as follows. CoreWeave, it's got to hold $83. All right, that is going to be key. But it still looks like pullbacks are actually going to be buying events, and maybe they're just de-risking. So as a reminder, we're going to have Anne-Marie on tomorrow. If you're interested in CoreWeave, I would be more than happy to ask her a follow-up question on this. But right here, she's saying that CoreWeave is going to need to hold 83. So if you're interested in this, trading it, holding it, or otherwise, be sure to mark off that $83 as a key level. Okay. Thank you, producer. That was awesome. Let's go back to Pro. Before we do street tweets here, I want to check in on the market. S&P futures sure look like they've held the VWAP here. If we take a look inside on SPY, this is what we have. The first candle down right here was from Trump warning that they're going to strike again tonight. The second candle down was from the PPI number that was a little bit warmer than the CPI, but you can see the market, at least right now, appears to be taking it in stride here today. So we'll see if this continues to bounce back up. I've got this at 729.40. We'll see if we recross 730. Okay, Anne-Marie, thank you, Ryan. Okay, great. Hopefully I got it right. Hopefully I didn't misspeak on anything. But I really appreciate you sharing that. And as I just kind of teased, maybe we'll look at CoreWeave tomorrow when we have you on. Thanks for being here, and good morning, Anne-Marie. All right, folks, let's go ahead and do street tweets right now. I got a kind of a unique one here for you. Might get a little tongue-in-cheek. All right, our street tweet today comes from Eric Brock, CEO of Ondas, but he's quote tweeting one of our favorite market commentators, Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer had Ondas, I guess someone in the lightning round on his show. I don't watch, so I don't know. But Cramer said that Ondas is a meme stock. The quote is, quote, "This is a meme stock. I can't get behind a meme stock," end quote. So again, looking at Cramer, if you're inverse Cramer, Ondas to the moon, question mark? If you like Cramer, then perhaps you're avoiding it too. Now, the CEO of Ondas here saw this, took the high road, in my opinion. This is how I would have handled it too. He says, "I met Jim several times during the early days at Cloud Capital. Lovely guy, and by all accounts, still is. Jim has earned the right to be wrong once in a while. He's still a legend." Fist bump. "We remain focused on building a category-defining autonomous systems company. Time will tell. Full steam ahead." There's a couple of things that I like here. Obviously, I have a personal bias because I own the stock. I've owned it for a while. I've gone through a ton of pain only to be rewarded on the other end of it. So I have a full cycle of emotions with this stock. So just factor that into your own risk plan. I definitely admit that I'm biased here. But with that being said, the entire story has never wavered here with Ondas. None of it has changed. Eric has come on our program as well as doing interviews with others and making quotes on his own, and he has continued to deliver on that. What he says here, we remain focused on building a category-defining autonomous systems company. That's why I have a long-term view on this. And that's why even if the stock exhibits meme-like qualities now, and shout out to a bunch of you folks, you guys call it out every day. Joe, I'm thinking about you here. You will often call out some of the meme moves that Ondas puts in. But under the surface there, I think they're building something special, still long and strong, still lots of gains booked already. But as Eric Brock says here, full steam ahead. All right, folks, let's go back to Pro. Let's see what we got here. We have 10 minutes until 13 gets on here. What do you folks want to take a look at here? Let me catch up on some of the chats here. Anne-Marie, okay, I did not do you a disservice. That is awesome. Lion says, "I think we're going to have a relief rally today." Honestly, Lion, the fact that we're holding the VWAP on the S&P futures post a slightly warmer PPI and another post, let's call it a threatening post towards the Iranian military there. The fact that we're holding the VWAP, I tend to agree with you. I think maybe we do bounce here. I'm going to be looking at maybe the 731. Let me actually adjust this in my platform. I'm going to be looking at the 731.0 DTE call here out of the open. We'll see if we get a pullback We're basically right at the VWAP right now. So I'd actually like for that to get extended from the VWAP in one direction. I'd feel a little bit better about entry on that. But as mentioned, S&P futures on the 15-minute chart have held the VWAP here so far. Buffalo by Bicycle simply says Creamer, because that's Lion's new nickname for Jim Cramer. Cam says shots fired. Anne-Marie says feels like they are trying to stage a relief rally for sure. So two of our seasoned veterans in here agreeing. Lion also thinks Cramer is right about the meme stock for Ondas. Sorry to hear that. Bob thinks Kramer's an idiot. Anne-Marie owns Ondas. Oh, I'm in good company here. Let's see, what else am I missing here? Honeywell. Tyler, you want to take a look at Honeywell? We will do that. Okay. If Lion says we need Trump to shut up. Okay, dude. Do me a favor. Hold your breath and see how far you get with that. I don't think he's going to shut up. Okay, all jokes aside, let's take a look at Honeywell here. This is going to be ticker HON. This is a good call, Tyler, because we've talked about Honeywell being at least a player here in quantum, having kind of a bullish outlook on this. Look at the chart. Are we at a potential support area? Question mark. We've got the 500-day moving average at 206.83, just about 207. Stock here is sitting at 207.81. We actually did try to find some support at the 200-day. We got a one-day bounce there, but now we've kind of pulled. Looking at Honeywell here, I could make a case that this bounces from here, but honestly, kind of think that this is going to test 200. Would be entirely unsurprised if this overshot 200 to the downside and found support at the volume point of control, which I have at a very clean 197 level. And actually, the more I back out here, this might change. No, in fact, it didn't change. I just incorporated the entire year of 2024, and the volume point of control didn't change at all. And going back here, you can see that this 197 level, this is going to be awfully important. So as far as downside levels here, Tyler, go, that's not good English, I'm sorry. As far as key levels here, we're at one, but if we break this, if we continue to move down a little bit, I wouldn't be too worried. I still think we're at a potential bounce spot here with Honeywell. The other thing is that what we can do is we can take these trend lines, we can draw this. If we do get a bounce, now we have a swing long target. If we can get back up there, and then another potential breakout spot there. One last thing to keep in mind here on Honeywell. I think we do want a bounce to happen here pretty soon, because if it doesn't, this 50-day moving average is going to continue to come in, and we're going to be staring at a death cross here. Okay. Now, we had a golden cross not long ago. Looks like this golden cross was at the beginning of February, and here we are sitting in June, and this might not materialize till the end of June or the early July, but kind of want to save this death cross from happening. So let's see if we can't get Honeywell to bounce here. Tyler, the support level I like here, 197 to 200. I think you're probably safe in there. Tyler says, I bought the dip this morning. Honestly, if it holds 197 and you bought a dip here at what, 205, 206, 6 points on that first buy, you're probably not even down all that much. Okay. That was a good chart though. Honeywell, that was a really good mention there. Reggie mentioning CPOP. We're going to take a look at that off the movers. G-Man, let's go. I was waiting for this. G-Man here says, SPY, if we open above 729.63, I am good. We're currently at 729.50. So you basically want to see it open from this level. You don't want to see another move down here in the next 35 minutes prior to open. We'll see if we end up getting that here tonight. Jay Wild, good to see you again. EDHL. Let's just check in on that, actually, because I know this one's absolutely going ham. I don't want to steal the thunder from 13 when we do pre-market pulse, because he puts in real good work researching this stuff for you guys, and I don't want to just kind of steamroll that before he gets on here. But EDHL, Everbright Digital Holdings, this is so far our mover of the day. And remember, every day this week, we've had some type of Chinese stock go absolutely bonkers. Sometimes it goes bonkers in both directions. but they go absolutely bonkers. And again, we have the same thing here. So this is a Hong Kong name, Everbright Digital. And you can see actually right away here, or recently here, we are now taking our third impulse move to the high. It looks like this stopped at what, 17.5 or thereabouts. Stock is up a whopping 352%. And this is up after, this is after being up 13% yesterday, which is also ridiculous. I don't see any news on this. So it seems like it fits our China pump and dump theme that's been going on all week here. Also, side note, is that indicative of a market top? You folks will have to let me know. Looking at the short interest on this name, 5% of the float shorted. It's got something, but it's pretty negligible here. This to me just seems like the pump and dump action that we've seen pretty much all this week. Float, micro float here. We're under 1 million shares in the float. This thing can be pushed around like crazy. Be careful. Make sure that you have an airtight plan if you're buying a stock that is up nearly 400%. So that's just kind of my thought here on EDHL. So far, it's been pretty good. It's actually rode the VWAP on the way up. Looking at this, we do have a fair value gap that is still unmitigated, even though the stock pulled back into this. Let me just mark this off real quick, and then we'll start pre-market pulse. Here is the, oh my God, chart. Why do you have like schizo like problems? Here we go. So here's your fair value gap. So we came back towards it, but didn't actually hit it. I've got that here. What? Let's call this range 1165 to 12. It's going to be our fair value gap area, EDHL. We'll see how that shakes out as we open here. Okay. LACE has big news. Did you mean LASE? Because that's a typo, Zach. And you don't make a lot of typos. I think you meant LASE. Laser Photonics announces completed final assembly of its Laser Shield anti-drone prototype. Yo, if they had a product at Costco called a Laser Shield anti-drone prototype, I'd probably buy it. So this sounds interesting. Probably should look through this. PR here. Don't have any numbers in this PR. Okay, I'm going to have to take a little bit more time to look through that. Lassie is popping 25% here on the back of that news. Bryce wants to take a look at Dollar General. You know what, Bryce? We'll absolutely do that. I have the perfect person to bring on for that. Let's do that right now. $13, good morning. Happy start of the World Cup to you.
Yes, it is. It's the very beginning of the World Cup today. And how is everybody in chat? How are you, Ryan?
Dude, we are literally running on like next level energy here. I know you don't necessarily care about basketball, but the game last night was one of the most spectacular basketball games, non-Bulls basketball games I've ever watched. I stayed up way too late. I'm running on fumes here today. The market was green. We got Trump threatening a huge attack tonight. We had a slightly warmer PPI, and we have the market saying, get out of my way. I'm bouncing. So there's a lot of excitement here today. We're doing good.
All right. I'm excited. I'm just, going to take it as it comes.
Okay. Can I make a request here? Can we help Bryce out and take a quick look at Dollar General, which I know you have been tracking probably better than anyone else I know. So could I bring up? Go ahead.
Not just tracking, but I own this. So yeah, we can look at this.
Okay, there you go. Oh my.
So
hang on. You might also have this, but I'm going to draw this on here. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's one thing that that I've got marked off here. So we'll see if that ends up resolving. The spot that I was waiting for, because I previously owned this, and this had a nice run up to over slightly over 155. I was out up in that area, just waiting for this thing to come back down. I wanted to pick this back up close to 100. And as soon as we started, or down, in that area where it was bottoming, this is a support level I was watching for. So we were down here now. We had a death cross last month. I'm still anticipating that this will go sideways. I intend to hold this for at least a year. Unless it breaks one of my rules, like runs up, to exceedingly high levels really fast, then I'll probably reevaluate and take some profit. But for now, the plan is to just start building a position down here where it's been basing. Nice recapture of the 50 and the 20 and the 500-day SMA. We have, looks like today's going to be could be the third close above those two moving averages. We just need to recapture the 50 and the 200 thereafter. I don't know how long that's going to take. We might get some back and forth, but that's what I'd be waiting for, in order to determine if we're going to continue upwards and recover. Need to capture those next two moving averages. So that means the price is going to have to get over 120. But like I said, I'm not expecting this to turn around and just rocket back up. I expect a slow grind higher over time. And I don't know if you have any questions about this or what you're looking for, but that's what I've got here. I think down here is a good buy spot at around 100.
Yeah, Bryce just suggested this as a ticker when I had asked, is there anything else you folks want to look at? So no other context added there. Let me ask you, though, does the recent death cross do anything for you? Or are you just kind of, if it goes lower, since it's long term, I might just add to it lower and lower my cost basis?
This would be, I already have DCA'd once, because when I started this, I started with a very small position, and you even know about it. I talked about it with you before, but it rose back up into earnings. I think it went almost to 120, and then it dropped right after it had earnings, even though it's a good earnings print. So there could still be some back and forth, but as you said, it's a long-term, a hold that I'm going to be just building a position in. And if it goes under 100, then yeah, I'll identify some other areas where I'd be interested in it. But for now, it's still holding above.
Okay.
Oh yeah, DG
right,
will just
awesome.
be fine.
Bryce, let me know if. Yeah, Bryce, let me know if that will if that was good for you. There you go on that. Good morning, Jay. It's great to see you. Happy IPO SpaceX pricing day. Oppenheimer couldn't wait. They slapped the $109 price target on it already. So that should be fun here. Lion says, I'm going to New Jersey to watch Morocco versus Brazil, and then said Morocco is going to beat Brazil. I will take the other side of that, Lion. I would be happy to bet you on that one. I don't think so. Okay. Do you want to knock out the movers now?
Let's knock these movers out. I think we and there's going to be a lot of theme going here, as we've discussed already this week. That hasn't changed, but a little thing that I've decided to add to this day's list of 100% plus runners are trend lines. They all feature some trend lines today, including the one that we're about to look at here, which I'm assuming is going to be EDHL.
Indeed it is. And I'll just go ahead and turn this over to you, because I actually just took a look at this per request from the chat. Okay. No news here. Hong Kong, pump and dump, negligible short interest, float under $1 million. What do you got?
That's pretty much it. The only other thing that I would do is, well, it's breaking through this trend line right now. If you want to draw it, you start with the 745 high, draw it through the 835 high, and then just keep going through all the other price action that we've seen today. Yeah. Well, it's basically those first two peaks, but yeah, that's pretty much. So you don't have it touching the second peak. You have it. You drew it through past it. Yeah, that one.
So this.
No, now you're just using the second and third. That's the first at the very end there. So you got that. Leave that alone. Leave that one alone.
Okay.
The second one is where
you're saying. I got you. You're saying draw it like this. Got it.
There you go. So that's the trend line we're trying to break over. But yeah, the company has revenue. It needs cash, not profitable. No news on this. Pump and dump. 541,000 shares in the float. Very easy to move around. Just watch for a trend line break. If it can't start closing above this on the 5-minute chart, then I think we come back in, and that would take us down to support. I would say initially at $15, and if it can't hold there, $13 is next.
Okay, EDHL so far, this is our biggest mover of the day. Once again, just like yesterday, we've got 5 stocks that are over 100% gain. This one, though, it takes the cake. Up nearly 400% here. Good breakdown. EDHL, good trend lines as per usual. 13.
No
Next
problem.
one we have here is going to be CCHH. And this is CCH Holdings. This is a Malaysian stock. This, I looked earlier. This didn't have news. Let me just double check.
It's same thing. No news, pump and dump.
No news, pump it up. Okay, so in that case, all I'm going to do is check the float. This one a lot thicker, 24.5 million, as well as the short interest, negligible, not even, or just 1/10% shorted. Okay, 13. Where are the? You know what? I think I already
bring forth
see
the trend line.
Bring forth the trend line. That needs to go on a T-shirt. That is that people with none. We'll just get back down to brass tacks here. Here is the trend line. What do you got?
So in addition to this trend line that it's trying to break through here, we also have a test of, well, not a test, but just a constant hammering of this VWAP here that's been trying to get back over since about 7 o'clock this morning. We did climb over it for about 15 minutes, lost that support, and now it's resistance again. So as soon as we get over VWAP, we're also going to be breaking that trend line. That's what I'm going to be watching for here. And that would mean that if we do get that break, I think that takes the price up towards 135, like maybe 130, 135 where there's resistance. That's going to be the second area of resistance that we'll need to break through next. As with these trend lines, what can happen is we'll break through it initially, find that resistance, and then we will back test the trend line before making the larger move up. So don't know if we'll get all that price action, but that's the first thing that we want to see is a break through that VWAP that's going to take us over the trend line.
Okay, and it looks like it is staging to attempt that right now. The value in play, 112. 112. Okay, next here is going to be ticker GLXG. This is Galaxy Payroll Group. This is another Hong Kong name. Is this just same deal, 13? Can I just skip it?
No news, pump and dump. Skip it.
Skip it. All right, float on this one, 5.24 million. Short interest on this one, 0.23%, so negligible. It's traded way over its average so far. All right, 13. What do you got on this?
First, I need my trend line.
So I think is this?
Yeah, I drew it from the very top there of 573 through the 705 high. It's kind of just a brief high there that tried to get up to 440 again. Couldn't do it, and that has taken us to where we're getting rejected right now at this trend line. So once again, trend lines in play. As you mentioned, 5.2 million shares in the float. This company has revenue. It does have cash, but it is not profitable. And given that they still have cash, I still want to point out that they may still do capital raise as lending is getting tighter. Even though this is a Hong Kong company, I still think that transcends other capital markets. So just keep that in mind. And as far as the price action, if this continues to get rejected, 225 looks to be the support area where the 200 EMA is. If we lose the current support at, I think I would just mark it at 265.
Okay. Good stuff there. 265. We will keep our eyes peeled. Next stock on the, I can't be misclicking stuff right now. Next stock on the list here is going to be QH. Kuho, I believe is how you pronounce this. This is a China name, not a Hong Kong name, but a China name. Same deal, 13?
No news, pump and dump.
No news, pump and dump. We'll keep this train rolling here. Float on this one, 2.827 million shares in the float. Short interest is negligible. It was high, but as of the recent reading, it's come in considerably to almost nothing. So I think we could probably ignore that. Going back to the chart here, 13, I think I see a trend line.
Yep.
Now, did you do it this way and cut that last wick off? Gotcha.
Just cut right through the others after you get through the first two. Yep. And that's going to indicate that this has been trying to get above this trend line. It has not worked out so far. It still continues to hold above the VWAP, which is a good sign. If this can't get through here, I would say in this candle or the next, it might come back in. When you constantly hammer a trend line or resistance level, it sometimes, or almost all the time, it will give way. But if you start to get these pullbacks to where it's not going to break through, and it doesn't do that for 15 minutes, like three candles on a 5-minute chart, you get it. There's a good chance that this does come back in. It's just, the exhaustion of trying to get through that trend line. So this candle that we're in right now, I would say it's kind of important. We'll see if this can continue to hold VWAP if it isn't able to break through that trend line.
Okay, good stuff there. QH, and our last of our 100% plus runners here today is going to be ticker PPCB. This is Propenk Biopharma. Shares are trading higher after the company announced a $5 million share repurchase program. So, wow, we actually have a catalyst with this one. That did send the stock up towards 6. We retraced 90% of the move, came all the way down to 2, held it and bounced. Now we're coming back towards the VWAP. VWAP I have here at 345. We're testing 3 as we speak. Quick peek at the short interest on this name, 1.53%. That's down considerably from the last read, so we should be good there. Float on this is 2 million. On average, it trades 128,000. It's traded 25 million today already. So 13, what do you have here? PPCB.
Be honest, I did not look at this one. It was not over 100% when I was looking at it. It may have just been underneath it. But real quick, just looking at the chart, this is hammering the VWAP, trying to get above it. Big seller in the way at 298. If we get some volume expansion, we could push right through that and test the next level of resistance at 350. So that's what I'll be watching the chart for. Float 2 million. Let's look at the financials. This is an Australian company, by the way.
Yep.
They need cash. They don't have revenue. So that's not, and then they do have cash because you said they just, they announced this share repurchase program. So where's that money coming from?
A raise? Maybe? Question
Maybe a private placement or something. Right. I don't know. But so they're planning to repurchase 5 million in shares, but their balance sheet is saying that they don't have the cash. So unless there's some other piece of news that I just need to scroll down further and look for about them having capital, I don't know where that's coming from. So just keep that in mind as you are going to try and trade this one today. But it does look like this is gearing up to try and push over that 298 seller. We just need to see better volume expansion.
Okay, good stuff. Now, I guess we can do whatever else you folks want. Honorable mention here, WTO. It's not above the 100% threshold, but I think this fits the exact same theme. This is a China name. It popped to 350. It retraced 90% of the move. It's holding down here. I see no news, perhaps a pump and dump on this one as well. Short interest, 2.47%. 1 day to cover, negligible. Float on this one, just under 2 million. So I'm assuming you probably didn't cover this one as well, which is totally fine. It just fits the same theme we're already looking at, to be quite honest. So
yeah, for this one, next to there's a seller in the way at 165. I'm just looking at right now, but it doesn't look like this has great volume. If it does expand and get through that seller, you have I would say 195 to $2 is your next resistance, and then VWAP after that.
Yep, that looks good to me. Right off the chart there. Okay, and then lastly. So we took a look at this one earlier. I think this was right as you were coming on here. This has continued to trade higher since then. So just a quick, go ahead.
If that doesn't drop, before the open, I would expect that to drop at the open.
Okay, so we're thinking Lassie is due for a pullback here.
Off that pre-market movement up, I think that out of the gate you would see some selling. Now, I'm not saying it's going to go back to where it started and maybe even lower. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do expect that this run up into the open is going to be met with some sellers, and then it might bounce and take off. I don't know what the price action is going to be, aside from the expectation that I think we could see some selling out of the gate after this run up. Okay.
All right. Really good stuff there on all of these breakdowns. All right. I think that's it from the. Did you have anything else on the movers?
No, just want to see what today brings us with all the SpaceX hype and the market volatility. I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
I am too. I am too. I'll be honest. Yesterday, I felt really, really tired. Maybe it's just the adrenaline still from last night's game. I feel like ready to go. I feel like we're going to have an interesting couple of days here. Today, I said at the beginning here, 13, I didn't know how you feel about this, but I said, with the World Cup starting in the early afternoon, we might have some reduced volume a little bit later in the day. We've seen this before in previous World Cups. We see this effect with the NCAA tournament all of the time. So maybe we actually have a little bit of a kind of a reduced volume here later today, but tomorrow's the SpaceX IPO, and it's going to be cray-cray. So I think this is going to be fun. I'm optimistic, glass half full as always, but I'm excited. I am excited. Now, is there any stack that you want to take a little bit of an extended look here? For example, do you want to talk about Oracle at all?
Sure.
Okay, because obviously Oracle, this was the big earnings report yesterday. The big earnings report today, by the way, is Adobe after hours, if you care. But Oracle was the big report from yesterday, and it's currently down here 9.27%. Now, 13, I know you and I talked a little bit about Oracle yesterday, and I think that also we are pretty much in almost complete agreement on how to play this. But I would like you to talk about what you think here on Oracle. Also, I did an Oracle breakdown earlier. If any of you folks missed that and you want an article that has some of the numbers that we're talking about attached to it, specifically the RPO number that 13 is going to talk about at 638 billion, that article is in the chat. You can use that as reference. 13, I'm going to go to the washroom real quick. I'm going to leave Oracle on the daily. I'll be right back.
All right. So as he just pointed out, that RPO is the big thing that I'm keeping an eye on with Oracle. Aside from their debt, which everybody knows is substantial, and I think that really scared a lot of investors out of the stock when they talked about raising 40 billion as opposed to the 20 billion that they had previously discussed. So doubling that is going to certainly scare a lot of people away. This is the opposite. Well, we were talking about how this is the kind of news we were waiting to see, whether or not it was going to alleviate those fears or if it was going to exacerbate them. Seems like they exacerbated those fears with their credit spread and their cash flow concerns, having to raise 40 billion as opposed to 20. So as we would expect, the stock sold off on those earnings. It tried to rebound and get back over 200, didn't last too long, and came down to a support area of 185. At least that's the one that I had. Currently trading underneath that. Looks like it got some better support from the 180 handle, but I still expect that this could go lower. And if it does, the next support areas that I have are going to be 165. And I wrote it down here. Give me 1 second. I think it was like 140 or something like that. But 160 is the. I'm sorry. Here we go. Before earnings, I posted that we had 185, 160, and 145. So those are the next downside support areas. 185, obviously, we're beneath. 160 is next, and then 145 if we lose that one. If we get down to those, I think that there's going to be a real question on whether or not this is even valued correctly. And when you look at the RPO and what they're expecting to earn over the next, within the next 3 years, it's quite a substantial amount, to the point where it almost doubles their current 2026 fiscal year revenue. So I think that Oracle, for now, I would just let it, bleed, let it get hammered down if we're still going to see more downside. And I think that there's going to be a real great buying opportunity in this as that RPO starts to come in. And we're expecting to see 12% of that in the next 12 months. So that means that in the later half of this, back half of this year, we should start to see some of that come through, with the rest coming in the first half of next year. So I think that there's going to be an opportunity either later on this year or the beginning of next year for where this is going to be cheap, and we'll have a really good opportunity to get it before it starts to have that RPO realized. That's my expectation here with Oracle for now.
Okay. Chat here. Chicago Realtor, let me know what you think about that breakdown there. I know you were asking for this. I'm thinking it goes to the 177 level is what Chicago Realtor said. That would actually be a break of the 500 and the 50-day. But looking at the chart here, that's about this level. It's about right around the low from January of 2026, that one of those first lows there. 13, I don't know if you covered this in your breakdown while I was away. I think this level is the one to really keep your eye on. This 155 level after this gap fill This to me seems like if this would be, I think by this point would be oversold, and I would imagine that this would probably get a pretty good bounce. Also, I'm going to take this trend line that we've had for a long time, and I'm going to extend this out a little bit, and that too could mark a support level. I don't know if it's going to go down and test all of those, but I'd be looking at that too.
So the 177 area, we almost hit that in the after hours. So I don't know if you want to count that as meeting your criteria and hitting your level, but we got that print very close in the after hours. I don't think we're never going to see it again. I totally expect we could see it again today, but if we don't, then there's going to be resistance up at that 500 and that 50-day SMA. They're both right in the same area, right around 184, almost 185. So that's going to be significant resistance if we're going to climb higher. And if we get past that, we could go on to fill the gap. I don't know that we're going to get all that, but there's an overselling metric to consider as well.
Yeah.
Now, if we do go lower, I think I'd be looking at around 172 for support. But like I was saying earlier, I like the 185, 160, and 145 areas. Those stood out to me on a larger time frame. So my big support area would still be 160, but I think there's some other smaller areas of support to consider. And I think from here, underneath 180, 172 is what I'd be looking at.
I also think that depending on how long it takes to get down there, the 100-day might come up and provide support near that 172. Lion here likes 180 as a support. Let me clean up some more comments here. Retro saying, do you ever have any Frank Drummond thoughts when you go to the washroom? I don't know who that is. I don't let gravity do my trick. I'm like in and out. I'm thinking about, stocks and what we're going to do next and getting back as soon as possible. So I don't have any of those. Eric here is asking, do you guys do this every morning? Thank you. Yes, we do. Show starts here at 8 a.m. Eastern time every day, Monday through Friday. We also bring on guests, other traders of all different kinds, and we do interviews too. People that work in finance, CEOs, all of that. So yes, we absolutely do that. We would love to have you in our community here. It's a little bit different from some of the other communities out there. We are focused on the community itself, helping one another, more of an education slant. Neither 13 nor I nor the producer are licensed. We cannot give you advice, and none of us came from Wall Street. We're all regular guys trying to do the same thing that you're doing. We just have experience, and let's face it, we're nerds about this stuff. We love it. Okay. Would love to have you here on a daily basis. And
the reference was actually to the Naked Gun movie. He was talking about Frank Drebin Jr.
The Naked Gun movie. Okay. It's been a long time since I've seen those, so I don't know what those thoughts are, but nonetheless, I don't have that.
I know what scene he's talking about.
Yeah. Okay. Ryan, did we get any update on the Discord channel? No, that is something that is in progress. There is no timeline for that. Here's what I'll say about that. That there's no timeline on that because there's a bunch of moving parts that need to be solved. This is something that we are not going to do half-assed. We have actually tried to do a Discord in the past. We kind of tried to throw it together and get it up as soon as possible. And there were problems with that.
It was a bit of a box.
Yeah, and there are problems with that we are going to avoid this time. So unfortunately, I make no promises on a timeline here. I know that this is something that our team would love to do. I know this is something that you folks would love. Trust me, it is still in progress. And believe me also, I will update you ASAP when I have anything of note on this. So you don't have to worry about that. You're gonna hear updates here, and I think people are gonna be excited. You're going to know. Let's put it that way. You're not going to miss it. Even if you miss a day or two here on the show, you're not going to miss it. Good question, though. All right.
Hey, no problem, Retro. Leslie Nielsen's a comedic hero of mine.
Comedic hero of mine. That actually explains several things for me. So that's wonderful. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to look at? We've got 5 minutes till we open here.
Whatever the chat wants to look at. I'm not really interested in looking at anything for myself. I just want this market to open so I can look at all the things go.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Okay, Chicago Realtor asking about NVIDIA. I had a story earlier, 13. Let me bring up the chart here. I had a story earlier here. NVIDIA, analyst calls NVIDIA undervalued and says that there's major upside ahead. And so we talked about that a little bit earlier. If you want to hear that story, you can go ahead and rewind. I'll also drop the article itself in the chat. You can kind of go over it if you don't have the time to necessarily rewind. That's totally fine too. But let's take a look here at the chart. Here's where NVIDIA sits. Thank you, Chicago Realtor, for adding some context to this instead of just making us freestyle it. Where is the next support level after 200? So 200, pretty much right in here. We're right on it. My next support level is going to be this low from May 5th. This low is pretty much lined up nicely with the 100-day moving average. So I would say that 195 probably represents a support level beneath that 200. However, the stickier support that I also think could be hit if we do have a pullback is going to be that 200-day moving average. That's down here at 189.09 today. We'll see if that changes or how that changes. But if you take a look at NVIDIA, the 200-day has really been important. Obviously, back here, April 2025, this is going to be the whole liberation thing. We were beneath the 200. We fairly quickly recaptured it. But the last time we dipped under the 200, boy, I don't even think we spent an entire week under the 200. We recaptured it, and we had a nice run to new highs. So I'd be looking at 195 and 190 as those resistance areas under 2. What do you think, 13?
So on May 14th, the NVIDIA all-time high that was put in was 236.54. A 20% correction, or even a bear market, if you want to call it that. We go under 20%, we're in a bear market. But if a 20% corrective move happens, that would take the price down to 189.23. Down there, you have the 200-day SMA at 189.09. I think that's where we go. Okay. I would expect that we're going to see a 20%, full 20% move off the highs in NVIDIA, and that's going to be where I think the buying is going to occur. You also have the very center, I think the center of this consolidation that we've seen since August of last year falls right in that area, yep. right around, maybe I would even say maybe 188. But I think that we're going to come down to the 200-day SMA, maybe trade slightly beneath it, but that would be my expectation. I think we come into that and find support.
Okay. All right. Good stuff there. 2 minutes here. What do we have here? Retro asking, do you see a base in Redwire? A very simple yes or no question. Do you see a base here? I don't see this basing at all. If I look at the chart here, let me zoom out. I would say that if this comes back into this $8-9 range, maybe it will base again down there. But no, right now I still see this in its regressive retracement. We're retracing the move higher. That gave us that pretty clean double top.
I would be looking at, there's a couple of things that I'm looking at that, hold on a second. We have less than 40 seconds.
Less than a minute. Yep.
Okay. So I'm looking at 14 to 1450 as having a support area. I drew a trend line from this August 7th high, which was, following a gap down. The very next high is from October 6th. If you draw a trend line and you just draw it through those two and extend it out beyond today, you can see that that's going to provide a support area in addition to the level I just mentioned. If we lose all that, you have the 50-day SMA right beneath it. So those are your next areas of support that I see.
Okay.
And we are going to open in 5 seconds.
Perfect. Boom.
All right. PPCB is climbing over VWAP. Let's see what happens there.
There's the opening bell, and we are off.
Okay, let's see what we got here. Looks like we're getting some. How's LASE? Are we selling out of the gate there, or is it still going?
I need to do a really quick refresh here. Sorry.
Looks like it actually started to come in before the bell, and it's getting some support. We got some of these names. EDHL is trying to push up into the 17 handle. It got slapped down. CCHH is trying to get support from the 65 EMA. GLXG trying to hold above the trend line. Nothing, none movers except PPCB look good for the moment. That's PPCB is over its VWAP and climbing. This is pushing through some of the resistance areas. 360 is next. What's up?
Agreed on this. And by the way, EDHL is going to be halted to the downside here. 1480 halted now. Timestamp on that 9:31:07. So we'd be looking at a 9:36:07 resumption time as resumption time number 1. That's EDHL.
All right, looks like 4 to 415, and PPCB is going to be the resistance here. We're coming right up to that. Okay, so we're just on the doorstep of 4 there. Looks like we printed 390. There's 4. There we go, right up to those areas.
Really quick here, I am seeing some Astus calls get bought here. These are bought for next week's expiry. Actually, some of them are next week. Others are January of 2027. So whoever asked about, do we see more of a move up in some of the space stocks? It would appear that at least on ASTS here, some traders buying upside calls down here in an 80 handle.
Velo continues to fly.
I know, this has been insane.
25.32, the current high on that one this morning. It's still climbing. Looks like PPCB really the only mover out of the entire list doing anything worthwhile. Everything else is just not really responding in a positive way. EDHL, as you point out, it's halted to the downside. CCHH losing the 65 EMA now. GLXG coming down to its 200. Maybe it gets support there. Maybe it doesn't. Don't know yet. QH also dropping. Yeah, PPCB is the only one that's really moving here. Not even WTO is really getting going here. And if it does, there's resistance up at 175.
SPY continues to pull here, 227.5 on the pullback. The pre-market lows, there was this one candle when we got the PPI print that has a super long wick, but I'm going to negate that. The other lows here, I've got it at 726.82 or thereabouts. That's going to be your pre-market low, currently at 727.77.
I'm sorry, I think it was Retro. I'm sorry, Retro. We didn't even get down to that area that I was looking at here for Redwire. This thing went down to, looks like 1471 and said, that's good, and turned around. There was almost a gap fill between the overnight, after hours and pre-market sessions. The gap went from like 1450 all the way up to 1550, so almost an entire dollar there. Didn't quite fill that gap, but that would have been a great area down at 1450 for an ad if it ended up coming in some more.
Kathy here saying Redwire seems like resistance at 1455. Did you mean support? Just out of curiosity.
At this stage, it would be support. Yeah.
That's what I'm just kind of looking at the chart. I thought maybe that was just a typo there.
Now, if this continues to climb and pass through some of these other resistance levels, which the next one I think is going to be, 1550 to 1560, somewhere in there, you do have this 1585 to 1595 area that has been providing resistance in the pre-market, all pre-market. So that's the big area to get through this morning.
Tesla lost the pre-market lows. Remember, I also had a story this morning. Gary Black said that people would sell Tesla. That story's in the chat for anyone that wants to go over it that might have missed it this morning. Gary Black was basically saying he expects more people to sell Tesla up to the SpaceX IPO. Tesla through the pre-market lows now might be challenging the overnight lows.
QH halted to the upside. Fantastic reversal off the 65 EMA. It's halted right at the doorstep of the trend line. So maybe in 5 minutes we see some fireworks here in QH. Really
good reminder, 13. It is 9:35 exactly right now, which means in 1 minute and 1 second we are expecting the resumption here of EDHL if it is in fact a 5-minute halt.
PPCB, really nice move up to 470. Currently trying to hold above VWAP right now, but seeing as how we got through that initial resistance area I was pointing out earlier with this big green candle, that's now become support. We'll see if the price can hold above it. That's going to be at around 415. So if we continue to hold above that area for the next, I'd say 10-15 minutes, should see some higher prints here.
Okay, real quick, folks, we are going to be running an all access. It is a pre-recorded all access. We're going to be doing that here in 10 minutes. 13 and I will obviously be in the back, but we'll be coming right back from that. So stay tuned for that. Richard Judge in the chat says Oracle just keeps dropping. Well, gosh,
Good.
13. I guess I'm glad we just outlined how we should kind of just wait that out and maybe wait for some of those support levels. That looks pretty good so far.
Happy to hear it. And GLXG, good reversal off the 200 EMA. Now it's dealing with the 65 EMA as resistance, which was formerly support in the pre-market. So if we get through this 65 EMA, then I think we could see 360 or 370.
Okay. G-Man, I love this. Ryan, because of that long wick on SPY, I'm a little positive that we're going to have a reversal soon, but it does not look good right now. I'm looking at it at the moment. I do not have any signal to buy yet. EDHL, by the way, did resume, so that was a 5-minute halt. That bounced and is going back up towards the highs. 1750 looks to be the next resistance area there.
Yeah, there's that whole cluster that it's been trying to push through that trend line. Now that has a task of having to make higher prints in order to push through the trend line. So if it's halted again, so $17 I would say is going to be the next resistance area. I think you might have said that, but that's what I'm looking at now.
Sure did. And by the way, real quick here, looking at SPY, G-Man, these calls are incredible. This did bounce. Now, this would need to get above VWAP in the 9 EMA, and it's not doing that yet. So we'll see if we get that. I don't have a signal on it yet, but that was really good timing.
PPCB, we're pretty much getting what we want here. It did dip beneath VWAP briefly, and then it said that's good enough. We're going higher now. Next resistance is going to be at 550, and if we push through that, then it's the high of the after hours at, the pre-market at 630. 630 would be the resistance after that. Looks like we're getting resistance from the 65 EMA and GLXG. So we'll see if this trend line can provide support.
LXG. Oh, I typed in the wrong ticker there.
While we're looking at that, just to mention here, Velo pushed through 26 and it's still climbing. I think there was a lot of $30 calls, so it wouldn't surprise me if we get close to a 30 print or C30 prints today.
Velo straight up out of the gate here. I booked gains on this. I'm actually all out of this and unfortunately did not reload at the $15 level that you and I talked about. I have no one to blame but myself.
I do
quite honest with you.
I do have position in this.
I know.
It's not as much as I'd like to for it to be, but it's good enough.
It's good enough, yeah, especially when it's rocketing like this. Jay Rice saying they continue to sell the spenders and buy the spendees. I'm looking around the rest here. Intel's up, ARM is up. Thank you, Kathy. And then Matthew here was asking, do y'all think Archer stays above 5 today? I don't have anything specific on Archer. It's already below 5, so I'm going to take the cop out and say, no, I don't think it does. Does it regain 5 here today? That might be a better question. If the market holds together, maybe. I'd watch IWM.
So 520 it was a big spot of support for this for me. It was a support and resistance level in the past. Keep an eye on PPCB, by the way. If this continues to come in and lose that 480 support, which is the next area of support that we have, I think I'd be keeping an eye on. I guess it would be 420 to 430 is the next area. This is getting very oversold. In the past, it has gone lower, but not too much lower from here. So if we are going to see some more selling, I don't think it's going to be a whole lot more. I'd be surprised if we went another dollar further than where we're at now. It could still happen, but I think I'd be surprised if we started trading under $4.
PPCB here. This is testing 550. By the way, SPY continues to leak, so it actually did break that pre-market low, 626 and a half. Excuse me, 726 and a half right now. We'll see if 726 ends up giving us some support. At the same time, S&P futures on this 15-minute candle have broken through the VWAP to the downside. Volume actually looks increased here too, so maybe we are going to continue to pull. Still no signal from my indicator on the SPY.
QH looks like that unhalted, popped above the trend line, and then came right back down, and it's halted again. So
it did. That's exactly right.
Okay, so it kind of went into limbo here. It's still above the 65 EMA, but it's beneath the VWAP now.
Also, I don't think we mentioned this, but this actually happened a little bit ago. EDHL halted again to the upside. This halt came at 936.59. So 937, so 942 is when it would open.
GLXG, this is the one that tested the 200 EMA, bounced right off that, struggled with the 65 EMA. It's now reclaiming the 65 EMA. 360 to 370, next resistance area on this move up.
Matthew says, thanks, Ryan. I appreciate you guys entertaining my random questions. I'm still learning. That's exactly how a community learns. You guys can learn from one another and some of those random questions. This is also why we continue to cover some of these movers, even though Lion gets on his kitchen table, pounds it, and yells at the top of his lungs to stop looking at junk and look at the stuff he wants. We're always going to look at all of the stuff here. No problem. Community focused. Don't forget. Also had to take a little cheap shot there at Lion.
I see, Mike. Is S dot halted when it shot up? Yes, it is halted.
And that S dot halt, I can actually get that for you here, that halt time, just in case you're paying attention to that. EDHL is open. Excuse me, it opened and halted again.
Yeah.
So it actually opened, went down, and halted again. Now S dot was halted 935.16. I have not seen that resume yet. And we're above the 5-minute threshold. So perhaps this is a 10-minute hold or a halt. Excuse me. Let me see what this says here. It says volatility trading pause, so it doesn't give me the T12 or anything.
36.50 was the high from yesterday, and it seems to me like it's just beelining right for that. So I think when we do open, let's keep an eye on what happens at that particular level. There may be some resistance initially, since there was resistance there yesterday. But if this volume is maintains, it could still blast right beyond 36.50 and start to hit some of these other higher levels that we can take a look at. Like I think 40 is a very standout spot when you look at a daily chart. So that would be another area of resistance I'd be keeping an eye on once we get past 36.50.
NASA, this is the Space Innovators ETF. Again, going back to the question about space before SpaceX, this is higher here. Obviously, Velo is higher. I think I actually just saw another, SPCE Virgin Galactic. This is higher. This is actually ripping on volume.
PPCB blew past the pre-market high.
Now, this is interesting, 13. We've been dealing, the stock of the day on the movers has been these Chinese pump and dumps. There's been one every day. Today, the one non-Chinese stock that also happens to have a catalyst seems to be the one that's running. It's almost as if people were like, I'm tired of these no catalyst stocks. Let's try running the one that actually has some news.
Well, I don't think that wasn't the case earlier, because remember this week, PAVs, that's the one that had news, and that's the one that had the crazy 2000
came all the way back in.
And it did the whole round trip. So I think you're on to something when it comes to whether or not they have news. Maybe the ones with news, the pump and dumps with news, go on a further run. But at the same time, you still have to be very, very careful with these. And we point out all the risks that you associate with this, anywhere from being trapped at a halt to being stuck with a massive bag. So if you're going to trade these, just be sure you have protections in place, your stops in place. If the trade's not working out, don't try to drum up hopium. It's not going to work out for you. So just stick to your rules.
Daniel here says the news pales to the 30-point comeback. 29 actually, but lol, that's actually pretty good, Daniel. That's pretty good. PPCB, massive winner. In fact, register rings all around for anyone that traded PPCB here today. All right, 13, real quick. We're going to go do that all access right now. Again, it's pre-recorded. We're going to be in the back, in the chat. We'll be right back here. Sit tight. Enjoy all access. Hey, Zingers. Welcome back to another all access. Today, we welcome back another exciting guest for you. We are speaking with Chia-Lin Simmons, CEO of LogicMark. LogicMark provides personal emergency response systems, health communication devices, and Internet of Things technologies to create a connected care platform. Ticker LGMK on the OTC markets. All access starts right now. Welcome back, Chia-Lin. Thanks for joining us again today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, no problem. Look, just dive right into it here. You just reported earnings for the first quarter of 2026. Can you tell us about them?
Yeah, so we are very excited to have shared that our first quarter revenue was up happily at up to 24% from the 2.6 million in a prior year period. It's definitely exceeded our expectations, and we've had quarter on quarter, I think the last 6 or 7 quarters of earnings increase. Been great to sort of share that, that earnings has been sort of coupled with, gross profit that was 2.2 million. It's an increase of 36%. So compared to 1.6 million a year ago, and gross margin is doing great, right? 69.6% compared to 63.5% first quarter of 2025. So it's an expansion of 610 basis points. And so we're very excited to have a very strong first quarter of 2026.
Okay, it sounds like you've been focusing a lot on sales there. Does that mean that there's a step back from R&D and IP development?
Yeah, so I know that we've talked about in the past that we are really focused, and we've done a tremendous amount of R&D development work in the first couple of years that I've been here at the company. And so back end of 2025 and 2026 is the year of sales and sales channel growth. And so we think that we are delivering on that, but by no means does that mean that we are taking a step back from R&D development. I think that that is what we're really known for as a company. We are a startup, tech startup with a ticker symbol. And so, I think that the bulk of the infrastructure that we have built, we rely upon that for sure. We really built a company that was hardware only to now a SaaS-based, cloud-based, with apps and AI and all of those things, and we are not stepping back at all. And so this year, we were really happy to announce during our first quarter earnings that we actually have several new products that we're looking into as well. One that we're launching in Q3 of this year, which is what we call the Freedom Alert Go watch. And then we're in beta for something that's quite exciting that we call Freedom Alert Haven, which is a connected home non-wearable product. So think you're in your house and you're not buried down with a wearable device. And so we are just able to figure out that you have fallen and get you the help that you need. Fairly critical for people who are senior and fall in showers. Who wants to wear something that, in a shower, right? So, so we are in beta with quite a few senior living and independent living facilities for that product this year, and having a very, very good feedback on those products. And then the Go Watch product has all the bells and whistles they could think of, including biometrics. And so we are super excited to be launching that product in Q3 this year.
Okay, that's awesome. Look, can you tell us more about your product details and continued focus on IP development and filing? For example, why a watch?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Look, I think that, one of the things that we really are, we spend a lot of time talking to our customers about is this idea of, products don't work if you don't use them, right? And the major thing about PERS and medical alert products is that, when you have seniors, they don't want to feel different. They don't want to feel vulnerable. They don't want to be standing out as somebody who's wearing ugly looking, looks like a garage opener hanging around their neck that's huge, right? Like, who wants to do that? But everybody wears a smartwatch. And so, we're very excited to talk about the product because it's sleek looking. dare I say, it looks like a iWatch, right? It does not look funky. It's not a big old button on your wrist. That's not a actual, watch-like product. It has to show time. It has to do all the things that we expect, you and I to be wearing, right? And so the biggest problem is that people want an iWatch, but the reality is an iWatch is, made for anybody who is 10 years old to like theoretically 80 years old. And we all know that that is a huge demographic of people to appeal. And so you cannot make something that works for every single person. And really what we feel like we have is a product that is really focused on the senior sort of demographic. And so that means that there is not a lot of extra, sort of Apple Pay and like, we do like tap this, tap that. And, like they want a watch product that is personal safety oriented. It has amazing fall detection. It has biometrics, activity trackers, so that we can actually track health behavior issues, right? Our AI is really focused on longitudinal and minute sort of changes to your activities and health and all of those things so that we can actually help get ahead of the first fall. This is not the focus of an iWatch, but we all know everybody wants to wear something that makes them fit in. So if we could get a watch in, and so you feel like you're like everybody else, and so it doesn't mark you as frail or, that, then people will wear the products when they need it the most.
Yeah. I like what else you said there. It's easy to use, right? Like it doesn't have all of these extra features that either are not going to use or make it more complicated. I think that's great.
Yes. I mean, look, we are one of the first to introduce medicine reminder into medical alert products, right? And so mainly because med adherence is not very high among the senior set. So it's around 40 to 50% med adherence. And we know that not taking your meds could actually result in being dizzy or a fall or poor health. And so we implemented that versus like a tap to pay, right? So, like those things makes kind of practical sense. And so we feel like our product is really geared towards the right demographic audience and really to give sort of reassurance to everybody involved. And again, who wants to wear something that's unfashionable, right? We're talking about the boomers. So
yeah, totally get it there. That makes a lot of sense. Look, I understand there was a recent national survey on caretaking. What were some of the surprising things that you saw from that survey?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. So we actually, we're really focused on human-centric product development. As you can see, we spend a lot of time thinking about like why people want to wear products and like what's important to them for caretaking. And so this is one of the, our first national surveys that's going out. And we really wanted to understand what is the most relevant things to caretakers as well as those that are being cared for. And so some really interesting sort of surprising things that we saw. One of those is around this idea of tech perception, right? And this idea of, is there really a split? We've always said that basically, the idea was that seniors are afraid of technology, when the reality is that basically, 92%, as we know, of caregivers are very comfortable actually with using technology. We're the generation of Gen Xers and millennials, for example, that are, biohacking and wearing Oura rings and all of those Fitbits, right? So that's kind of a given at 92%. However, ironically, those people who are care recipients are 87% actually confident and comfortable using smart technologies like smartphones and apps. And so this concept that basically, oh, you can't get sort of technology into the hands of seniors is actually, I think, hearsay. Right. And so that actually is not a very big gap at all. So that's one thing that I think was really interesting. And I think that came out of this particular survey. The other was the burden of what it means to basically be a caretaker in the world that we live in today. And so surprisingly, the people who feel the biggest pain, you would think would be the Gen Xers and the millennials, but actually the ones that are feeling the most impact are the Gen Zs of the world. And that impact is significant, right? They're the ones who are feeling in the surveys, the biggest burden around having to take care of their senior loved ones, as well as like their upcoming sort of younger children. They're actually now the oldest Gen Zers are now actually adults of all things, right? And so they're seeing that sort of impact, and that impact is really significant because they're in the prime of their working years. And so they feel like it's impacting their ability to do work and the time that they have to focus, and it's impacting them financially. So, and that was, a little bit perhaps surprising for a lot of people because we really thought that the impact would be falling on the millennials.
I would imagine no matter who the impact falls on, technology can only help this. So I would imagine creating more of these things to kind of help all of these caretakers out seems like the right move.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I think that, the reality is, the technology, people aren't afraid of technology is what we're seeing as part of that survey. But even though people feel like they want to age in place, for example, a good percentage of this, people being careful want to age in place, but they actually only a small percentage of them are actually having that conversation with their family. And so one of the major walkaways too from the survey is that, we all know that the care and the technology is needed for that care to be able to age at home securely and safely. But that dialogue between those who are caring for them and people who are being cared for are not being had at all. And so, and that's really a really important thing to sort of stress here is that, unlike people who are having children, you have 9 months to get ready for bringing the baby into a home. When things happen to your senior family member, it happens like this, right? And so that sort of initial development work in terms of having dialogues and conversations is really, really important. And so, and that's really one of the major walkaways as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, your life can change overnight when something like that happens. So I totally understand that. Look, Chia-Lin, thanks again for joining us here today. I look forward to more follow-ups from you in the future.
Thank you so much.
That was Chia-Lin Simmons, CEO of LogicMark. The ticker is LGMK on the OTC. Thanks for joining us for another All Access. We'll see you next time. All right, we are back. Sorry we had to run that there. I know the market gave some opportunity while we were gone, but we are back. 13, what do we miss?
Well,
These clouds in the sky.
missed quite a few things. S-Dot, after we had just talked about there being resistance at $40, this thing unhalts, runs up to 39.86 and turns around. We're in a downside halt right now. Hilarious.
We are also at a downside halt on EDHL. By the way, that pulled right into the fair value gap area and halted there. Don't trust it coming out of the halt, FYI. Do not trust it. Yes, and Robot Killer, we are definitely coming back. Sergeant Sexy says, when the Spurs win in 7, I better not get muted. You will not get muted if that happens. Just don't.
Red Wire. We have Red Wire taken off. We have. Let's see. There was another one that was going to. I was typing this out as this was happening. The space watch list is. I was saying, a space watch list is greener than the Shire. Everything's just having a great day.
So good.
Let's see here. What else we got going on?
So the space halo effect still going on.
Oh,
It'll be very interesting to see if this continues into tomorrow or if we get a reversal when SpaceX comes available for trade.
Velo hit 27.56. Not too far from 30, but it's looking like it's starting to slow down a little bit. We had a little bit of profit taking, but I think we're neutral for the time being. We'll see what happens in the next candle or two.
And the other thing here about this Velo candle, this to me doesn't concern me really at all, right? Like this seems like a little bit of like a healthy pullback here. It's already right back up. This actually looks pretty good here.
GLXG, that was another one that was moving during the interview. Came up to a resistance area. The same area that it was having trouble with in the pre-market. It was I think 440. We're coming up to a seller right now at 450. So right in this 10-cent area, 440 to 450, there's some resistance that's going to have to see some more expanding volume. Not that that's not happening right now. It's great. So we could end up getting through this. If we do, then that should take us over 5. If we can get through this resistance area. We have 515 and I would say 570 to 575 as the next resistance areas.
Okay. Market is pulling back here. It is coming in towards the VWAP and the 9 EMA. We'll see if it ends up holding there. If it gives us an opportunity there.
Well, Rooster, I don't think everybody else was, but since you did, hey, let's hear you crow, man. Good job.
AMPG.
Yeah. That's up 20%.
Yeah, this has
been on a nice run.
I was going to say, which one was this again?
This is the
microwave components and amplifiers that meet individual customer. It operates in 2 segments. Does this have a space? No.
I don't think it might, but this is for I think communications.
Yeah, it's for wireless networks and the future of wireless communication, indeed. And bounce continues here in the market. I actually did get a signal here to buy this move higher, but man, it's 20 cents higher than the price that I was looking at it when it was on. SPY is popping here. That relief rally that we talked about, that is indeed happening.
CCHH trading under $1 now could end up being a totally different animal trading underneath here. But here's the funny thing. If it recaptures $1, that's also going to be the same time it breaks the trend line. Red wire looks like that's trying to push up to test the 1650 high that we've put in recently.
And then remember ASTS, we also talked about this one here. ASTS also moving a bit off the SpaceX, same with SATS, SATS, that's EchoStar. So it looks like that whole space theme is moving with this.
EchoStar is a big holder of SpaceX shares. They received a lot of shares from SpaceX in exchange for their frequencies. The big movers here on my space watch list today, obviously Velo. Interestingly, Virgin Galactic, that's a SPCE. Don't know why that's up, but it's part of the space theme. Looks like ASTC, Astrotech, is on the verge of 10% here. This is one of the companies, I believe, that's going to be part of the lunar missions. Fly Aerospace is up 7.3%. That is also going to be on the lunar missions. I also have a lunar base watch list.
Real quick here, my SPY 0 DTE indicator is flashing a sell signal here that comes after the buy signal. Looks like there was 65 cents on the 731 call. So this is actually a take profit area here, although it might break and go higher.
Looks like CCHH is trying to come up to 100. I'm sorry, not 100, $1. $100 pennies.
100 pennies. There we go. Donkey Kong or DraftKings ahead of the World Cup here, maybe on the back of the excitement from yesterday. This actually broke yesterday's high and looks like this is going to continue marching north here.
I don't think that's the reason it's going. It might be part of the reason, but I don't think that's the big reason. If you look at what DraftKings news had yesterday, I think that's the reason. Because it's the opposite to the reason why it was down in the first.
So CFTC proposes new rules for event contracts, including sports-based prediction markets, and opens public comment period that would, in fact, be bullish for Flutter and DraftKings.
Bullish.
So
I looked at it as bearish not for draft. Well, I'm sorry, you're right. Bullish for DraftKings, bearish for the prediction markets.
Yeah. Sorry, Flutter is FanDuel. Yeah. It's the very similar draft. Okay, sorry. Let me make it more clear. I apologize for that. This should be bullish for the sports betting companies, DraftKings and Flutter, and then bearish on the prediction markets. Yeah, same thing. We just had to clear that up. Sorry about that.
Because I was thinking bearish for these prediction markets when you said bullish. I was like, what? But yeah, so great news for DraftKings. Because it was the prediction markets that was initially pulling this down, last year and into this year. So the opposite now is kind of happening. I think that can have the opposite effect. Takes it back up.
Voyager. Selena was asking, what about Voyager? Captain Kirk's doing well here. Voyager going higher. 10.5%. And actually, this backed off the high at 46. By the way, EDHL opened, dropped again, halted to the downside again. So we were talking about the stock du jour, or the stock of the day. All of the EDHL move happened in the pre-market. So this has been a huge disappointment since the market opens, and I guess unless you were shorting it, which was not part of my plan.
S dot, has given everything back from the open. So we did get close to that $40 resistance, and as soon as we did, that was it. Then we had this triple halt down to the, giving everything back.
Daniel's asking, Ryan, why do you guys trade the SPY? I only really swing it because of the small moves intraday. So first of all, I don't know that 13 trades 0 DTEs. I think it might just be me and some of the group here. But the reason that I'm doing that is because we're trading the 0 DTE options. You're absolutely correct about what you're saying with the SPY, and if you're swinging just shares, it's probably just a little bit of gain. But those 0 DTE options, I mean, they can literally, in an average day, they can go from 80 cents to $3 intraday. And so if you're able to time and capture that correctly, big gains can be made there. And I've tried to develop an indicator based off a couple of successful traders in the pro community here to try and help facilitate that. So that's why we're trying to capture alpha by trading the option contracts that can have huge moves intraday.
S dot still going lower, just a halt fest to the downside now.
Sounds like EDHL.
It's not as bad as EDHL, not as bad as S dot. S dot,
you're right. You're right.
Really getting it on the chin. QH though, since that got beaten up to the 200 EMA, it's had a nice reversal and it's halted up at the VWAP again. PPCB, this is trying to climb over its VWAP. If we do recapture and hold above it, there may be some more upside in this.
And Lassie here. So we had that big spike in the pre-market. We had a retracement out of the open. Now it is beneath the VWAP, but it looks like it's trying to hold this 255 area and not break down. So I think as long as this holds here, maybe watched 268 cross to the upside, that might put $3 in play. That's LASE.
WTO breaking over VWAP. This is one of the other movers, one of the last ones. LASC, that's more or less kind of the price action I was waiting for. We were going to get a pull, but I wasn't expecting to give it back completely. That looks good to me.
Okay, cool. And WTO, this is what, U-time, one of those movers. We're now through the VWAP on a volume expansion into a volume pop here.
Yeah, I think you're going to get some resistance around 230. We're getting pretty close to that. But if we continue to close above the VWAP with these 5-minute candles, so this one and maybe 2 or 3 more afterwards, should see it continue higher.
Chris Forsman saying it was Captain Janeway commanding Voyager. Captain Kirk was the commander of the Enterprise. Yep. Sorry, I'm not a Trekkie, so I'm sure I probably offended somebody with my mistake. But thank you for correcting me.
Speaking of Voyager, have you looked at that yet?
Yeah, we took a look at that right not long ago here, but up 10.5%.
Mm-hmm. Man, it's a fun thing to see.
Always been interested in space ever since I was a little kid, to the point where even in grade school I got made fun of because I was into space and aliens and stuff like that. And now here we get to do it in our professional career as well. Let's go.
That's a great mention, Chris. Geo, very strong. Look at that daily. So this actually is tied to some news, and I think Axon is also may be benefiting from that. Doesn't look like it's doing the same thing today. And then there was another one. What's it called? Let me see if I can pull it up. It's another prison stock like Geo. It's like Civic. Hold on a second.
I know what you're talking about too. I can't remember the ticker though. Not Civi.
Core Civic, CXW.
CXW, that's what it is.
That one should also be going as well, and it looks like it is. Yeah, look at CXW. This has had a fantastic week. And the reason that these are going, as far as what I understand here, is that we had the U.S. House of Representatives recently just passed the immigration enforcement funding bill, and that was being signed yesterday by Trump. There was a broadcast of that signing. So I think that is the reason why we're seeing these go, because they are supposed to fund this. This is meant to fund this until 2029, and I think this is just one of those things that these stocks have been waiting on, is that particular funding. So now we have seen that Axon wasn't performing as these other ones were, but I think that it'll turn around. But GEO, CXW, and AXON should be direct beneficiaries of this bill being passed.
Okay, the charts tell you that is the case so far, 13. Chris says, Ryan, your SPY sell signal was spot on. Yeah, it is, and it has been, and that's why I'm calling it out here, because like I said, this indicator, I've got something going here. Could it use some more refinement? Sure, but I've got something going. Here's what the SPY looks like. Look at that. Look at that pullback from those wicks to the top. Sorry, 13.
PPCB is trying to push higher right now. This may be the next move that we were waiting for. We'll see if it can get over the 550 level. Oh, actually, it's getting a big rejection at the 550. But that's the resistance is 550. So if we don't break down right here, that's the level we need to clear.
I'm seeing a piece of news here. I don't know how important this is, but it sounds good to me. Japan advances a bill to reclassify cryptocurrencies as financial products and cut taxes from 55% to 20%. Price of Bitcoin here pretty much unchanged, but holding higher by 1.35%.
I'm just watching PPCB, see if we do get that 550 move.
Joe, Ryan, without giving away your magician's secrets, can you say a word about what your SPY buy sell signal triggers on? Yeah, it triggers on proximity and cross of VWAP and the 9 EMA. But it also takes into account time zones for trading. So for example, the indicator only produces signals in the T1 window, which is 9:35 to 9:50. Then it takes a 10-minute break and only produces signals between 10 and 10:20. And then it lists the death zone where you hold no contracts from 11 to 3:30 p.m. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's more than just an actual indicator metric. It's also time-based and all of that.
PPCB pushing through that 550. Wanting to go. Here we go.
Pull back and hold a 5 there, 13.
Yep. I'm drawing a trend line from the high at this in the pre-market through the high of the regular session. This is our next trend line to break. Yep. There's a question of whether we're going to get up there or not, but if we do, this is the resistance I'm going to be watching for a breakout for.
All right, 13. I want to mention something here real quick on Casey's, just because we had a really awesome discussion on this yesterday. Yeah. I don't want to go through the whole thing because it was long, but I do want to summarize it here. So first of all, register ring for Bigab's, who absolutely smoked Casey yesterday on a trade right from the open. They reported good earnings, but the big takeaway that I had here, first of all, these are the kind of stocks that I want. We talk a lot here about day trades and this and that. These are the stocks that I want more than any day trader. I would quit day trading 100%. If I could load up my account with stocks, they're going to do this. This is where you build wealth. These are the wealth moves. It's not scalping this and that and SPY calls and blah, blah, blah. These are the wealth moves. Now, the interesting thing about this is that as a native Midwesterner from Illinois and around the Chicagoland area, I'm not familiar with Casey's. And there was an entire thesis here about how well Casey's often serves rural areas and how these people actually go there, spend time there, buy food, buy gas, buy all of these things there. I've heard my friends that live in Iowa say that Casey's pizza is amazing. I laugh at that being from Chicago, but apparently that opinion is absolutely correct. And look what this stock has done over time. This is the type of stuff that I want to find. I had no idea what the bull thesis on Casey's was until it got explained to me, and you guys drew me a map last night. So the takeaway for me here is that even things that are outside of my wheelhouse and my comfort zone can produce big life-changing gains if given enough time. These are the types of themes that I'm looking at. So Big B's, I'm glad that you were able to trade this again. I'm glad that there was some more up here, but what I'm the most glad about is that we talked through this as a thesis. And look at this, 13.
Yep. Right to it. Woo. That's fantastic. And one of the things that I would point out with Casey's is the CFO is actually on the board for Cracker Barrel. So there's a little bit of top brass connection there.
And Dan, so here, a couple of things to add to this. I love this. Jay says Casey's Pizza is good because it's the only thing around. Exactly. That's like the entire. And you know what else? We actually read through some of Casey's conference call. One of the things that they were saying is they're going to start selling wings, and they've projected that the wing business can be as big or perhaps bigger than the pizza business, which is evidently gigantic. Daniel says travel islands, in quotes, do so well they seldomly ask Wall Street for money. Brian says that abomination is not pizza.
We have we had 3 movers that were halted. We have 2 now. EDHL is halted to the downside. CCHH is not halted, but it's breaking beneath the 200 EMA. QH halted to the downside. GLXG was halted just a moment ago, but it's just unhalted, trying to hold above the 65 EMA. Meanwhile, PPCB is not halted, and it's just fantastic right now. I'm just waiting to see if we end up breaking this or not. No position in this one anymore, but I just don't know if it's going to break through this trend line that we just drew. It was great that it went right up to it, but we'll see if we can get the volume to get through it. I'm not sure that we will right now. WTO, this lost VWAP, it's trying to get some support from the 170s. And Velo is pulled beneath the $27 handle. So it looks like we're getting a little bit of weakness. Getting a little bit of weakness here, but still keeping an eye on PPCB, no position in it. Just want to see if it breaks that trend line or not.
13, I'm going to make a comment that's going to sound unbelievable on the surface. SPY is trading like PAVs right now. This thing just absolutely ripped from the day lows and retraced almost the entire move here. G-Man, SPY is down. The next line of defense is 726.81. So that's actually right pretty much where we bottomed the last time. So let's see here if it can hold those intraday lows there. Captain Cloudy, scaled out of SPY puts. Way to go on that. We were talking about that really kind of reversing. Instead of waiting it out, you're just like, I'm going to play it to the downside. I'm going to reverse the turn there. Bang, 75%. Register ring.
Wow.
It's
Velo.
been a good day.
Yeah, it's been a great day. Velo recaptured 27. PPCB still not done yet. Coming back up to the trend line. Some of these names that we're just getting hammered are trying to recover, but be careful as we approach the time where volume really starts to dry up. It's not too far from now. I'm not trading any of these other movers right now. So PPCB can do whatever it wants, and I'll just enjoy the show. But for now, I think volume seems to be kind of waning a bit. I'm just going to just watch the market.
Big B's, I love this. SPX, S&P cash could see 7,200 today and keep going. S&P cash currently sitting at 7,283. I'm looking for a break of the lows before I get in. So you're looking that I'm just going to use SPY as the proxy here, Big B's, but basically what you're looking for is a break of the intraday lows. You'll take a short position on that. Let me know if I got that right.
I'm still waiting for 700 in SPY. I think that we do go there.
Okay.
Might take a little while, but that would amount to an 8% pullback from the all-time highs. I think that's a good correction. It's pretty close to the correction we just recently had. So we'll see if that ends up being all that we correct, or if there's more coming. But that's what I'm waiting for now, is 700 in SPY.
Expected chop today. It was a clean short. Captain Cloudy, you've been all over this. You've been all over this. The intraday trading on SPY has been great. You and G-Man have just been phenomenal.
Well done this week, everybody. This has been a fantastic week. It seems like everybody in the chat's been doing great.
And SpaceX hasn't even happened yet. We still get that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, if there's a question as to what time, I really can't say for sure, but the last couple of times that we were asked that, it was I gave a couple of times where it could potentially happen, because you do sometimes see it, in the late morning, but more times than not, I've seen these IPOs come out in the afternoon, like around 1 or 2. So I think that's what I'd be leaning on is an early afternoon IPO. They've generally happened around the 1 p.m. Eastern time. So we'll see if that's what we end up getting.
And one of the things that I've seen too, 13, is that when you have these like really highly anticipated ones, there's small delays on IPO day that can sometimes push it to the afternoon as well. So I think that's a pretty good call. I think you're probably going to see that after 12.
Meta in free fall. Oh, I'm sorry for anybody that's in it, but I just love hearing, oh God, it's under 600. We talked about this. Oh, Ryan, we talked about this a lot.
Yeah, we did.
All right. So still have my target, 520. I think that's where we go with Meta.
Yep. And that is here's on the chart. This is what you'll see. 520 right down here. This is just very cleanly following the trend since July of last year. Or no, August of last year. I beg your pardon.
Now, it is getting to a point where it's being oversold. It's not quite there yet, but it's getting close. So if we don't get down to 520 before it gets really oversold, like let's say it comes under 30 or 25 RSI, we could see some buying, but I don't think it's going to amount to a recovery. I still think that even with some buying, I'm going to get my 520 print. It just may, as we get to these lower RSIs, we may see that kind of bounce back and forth on the way down there.
Ed says, I'm going to hide out till tomorrow. I don't trust this market. Ed, totally fine. We've already seen a big reversal here today. So,
you know what, Ed, you're going to be probably richer than some people are going to end up today, because this market still is so volatile. It could really trap a lot of people. I think just sitting on your hands, keeping your capital preserved is a great move, especially if you're not comfortable with the way this market's behaving. Great on you. Bello 28 now. There was one other Palantir not looking so good. I want to look at that because I also have a target on this, and we also have one other name that I have a target on that we'll also talk about. So I still think this one could see 90. That's the target that I've had for a while. We're down at some of these lows for the year where it's been getting support. So I would say between 123 and 127, this is the range that's been holding up with Palantir so far in 2026. If we lose it, I think the 500-day SMA is next. And then if we lose that, I think the 100 handle and 90 is going to be thereafter. So still might be some time for Palantir to come in, but I think I'm going to get my 90 print later this year.
Jay, that's blasphemy. I love trivia. I simply missed it. I'm scrolling back up to find it here. Here it is. I'll just make it easy. I put it on the screen. Thursday trivia. What retail stock hit all-time highs today? I talk about this one often. Part of the 3 horsemen in retail.
Not Walmart, is it?
I don't think Jay talks about Walmart very often.
It might not be an all-time high.
It's not an all-time high. It's going to be something like Crocs or not Tractor Supply, maybe Boot Barn. Here's Crocs, not at an all-time high. Let's check Boot Barn.
Well, he said it's a horseman, so it's got to be a significant company. I don't know if Crocs would qualify.
Yeah, it's one of his horsemen's, though.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I would think that it's probably
definitely not Lulu.
I would think that it's probably in. Well, that's not retail. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Jay. Did Restream remove that? You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to highlight another comment and then there we go.
Yeah, Daniel, 90 is I don't think Ryan's ever said it. It's something I've been after for a while. So just waiting. And then while we get the answer or more guesses for Jay's question, I still think that Netflix comes down to 70. That's been another one that I've long said could happen. Got pretty close earlier this year when we got to 75. I still think we could go to 70.
The retail name gets bought on every earnings dip.
Scott needs a register ring. He's been slaying PPCB.
Done. Get it, Scott.
And by the way, Velo, 29.19 is the high.
Jay, the answer is TJX. Oh, you gave it to me right as I figured it out.
Okay, I think I was on the right track because I was thinking those you know, the retail store names.
Shout out to the Movers Tool.
That was a good one.
Helping me. Yeah, that was a good trivia question. Shout out to the Movers Tool for helping me track it down. Cost, Walmart, and TJX are the three horsemen. Got it.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. All right. So, okay, cool. I got one of the horsemen.
You were absolutely on the right track. By the way, Velo 29.
I'm glad I got one of the horsemen right. Okay, so TJX. Now this makes me want to look at Ross Stores. Also an all-time high, a new all-time high today. All right. Man, gotta love how Velo's price action's been. Congratulations, everybody that made money with Velo.
Yeah. I wish I was in it for this second leg, but I made plenty on the first, so.
At least you have a leg to stand on.
There, yeah, I see what you did there, and I like it.
Oh, man.
By the way, if anyone thinks that the market is actually topping here, does anyone like XLP? Which is the Consumer Staples ETF.
I just like the consumer-facing names in general. Staples make a ton of sense to me, but I think that you know, even if you know, we're you know, facing a lot of pricing pressures and you know, jobs are looking a little shaky, I still think that all the consumer-facing names are really, you know, beaten down and discounted, whether they're discretionary or cyclical or you know, defensive or staples. It doesn't matter. I think that all the consumer-facing names have all been pretty much slaughtered.
Oh, Lamb Research puts getting bought here. Oh my God, this thing just kept going higher. Look at Lamb Research. They are buying puts here for Lamb. This is this week, excuse me, next week, 340 puts. So they're looking for a regression back to the mean here. Boy, 1.26 million spent on one of those trades. Big Lamb puts getting bought.
The bonds would be a way better yield than holding an ETF. But I think the expectation here, Jay, is that these consumer names are going to see a big move in equity. So they might be better short term. And I think that's kind of what we're going to get here is we're going to get a pretty good short term move in some of these consumer names. I just couldn't tell you exactly when. Looks like QH is sorry. Looks like QH is climbing over the trend line and wants to go higher now.
Probably a Micron hedge. Bigabee says, "Sir, that's my secret weapon. LRCX is amazing to trade." What's the next move there on LRCX?
Yeah, it's market lunchtime.
It is. It is. And you know what else it's time for? It's time for the end of our show here for today. 13, any closing words for the group?
Oh, folks, get ready for tomorrow. It's SpaceX Day. And SpaceX is going to potentially have another test flight later this month at the rate that they're, getting their flight readiness tests finished. We just have that FAA hurdle, and we're through. I don't think that's going to be too big of a problem. But get ready, because I think we're going to see some more wild moves tomorrow. So until then, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you then. Goodbye.
All right. Take care, 13. Really good stuff here again today. Thank you, folks, for joining us. As a reminder, we do it every day. We're going to be back at this again tomorrow. Rest up. Stanley Cup hockey game tonight. World Cup kicks off tonight. SpaceX IPO tomorrow. We'll be back down to break down all of the news and get you all set for the trading day. Stick around, because we have a webinar coming up. You want to be on for this one. Been watching gold rip and crypto come back to life, and AI chips refuse to slow down. Going deep on all of this. It is today. Benzinga is teaming up with Direction for a free live boot camp. It starts in a half an hour. We'll take you right over there. We're going to break down how active traders are actively positioning around those themes. And you'll be redirected automatically from this stream. Enjoy it. The Direction guys are great. We'll be back tomorrow. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. Have a great one, everybody.